Welcome, everyone, to Faction After Hours. We are, again, bringing you another podcast from California. This time we're in...
Riverside.
Where are we?
Riverside.
Riverside,
right?
California.
Yeah.
We've been driving around a lot. We have another guest, as you can tell. Like, this is a really cool guest. And also my first time meeting you, Kyle. And we have Kyle of Pro Shop Noble. We're here at a shop. This is probably one of the most interesting buildings.
It's definitely the best background we've had so far.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
Hiring you,
having me.
having you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you want to tell the listeners kind of what Pro Shop Noble is? Is it a automotive shop? Is this somewhere where they can come to you with a vision and hopefully get along?
Yeah, that's one thing we didn't really talk about.
This is some crazy stuff.
Yeah, we went over your cars and we went over the shop. We didn't really talk about like the shop work or if you work on customer cars and stuff like that.
So we'll be taking on like if someone has a project or something, they can approach me. I'm not taking on service as much.
Mm-hmm.
Like oil changes and stuff like that.
Yeah. When I started the shop, it was just hustling every job, from engine swaps to whatever. And now, definitely shop's still open. Just hit me up. And,
Yeah. So you were working out of, were you still in Riverside, your first shop?
No, it was in Santa Ana.
Santa Ana, okay.
Probably, so you guys were at Apex East, so it's probably like a 15-minute drive from there.
Oh, okay.
So
We've
far.
been all over California the past 2 days.
Yeah, dude. I
like,
feel like
I don't know where I'm at ever.
we went to every section of LA County, I feel like.
Yeah, right on the edge here.
Yeah, right now. We're past it, right? We're like slightly past it.
Is this considered?
Is it? I don't know.
Well, you kind of used the word
This is outside.
before.
This
It
is
is,
outside
right?
of LA County.
Yeah, like slightly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've seen pretty much all of LA County, which is cool because me and Carl have never really done that.
I don't ever, the entire drive coming here, I was like, where are we going? And he was like, oh, don't you worry. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep driving straight, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is rare for me and us, I feel like, because we had somebody named Kay from Super Life who was more into like the tuning of the exterior aspect of it. But the thing is it's not even just exterior for you. You're in their interior tune and engine bay tune. These two cars you have an S13 and an S14, both 326 power, very sex spec type of thing. And what's funny is you said that it was a dying style. Like, I feel like it's not.
I don't
it's
know.
coming
I
back.
get what you're saying, though.
It's coming back for sure. Like, absolutely, it is if not already coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone's raising their cars up.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, yeah. Like, to me, in my head, as me coming in, like, if you say a track car, that thing should be just slammed. Like, it shouldn't be able to drive over a penny.
That's you.
Like,
I know, yeah.
Like, because it's going to be on a trailer. I'm not going to deal with all this BS. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that thing should be slammed and look awesome. But it's now, I respect the hustle of these guys pushing their driving to a limit.
Has that been something that's ever interested you? Because S chassis, one of the first things that everybody thinks of is, S chassis drifting. Like, I feel like their first instinct isn't automatically to use the Origin 50 mil over as I can now fit a fat ass American racing wheel under there. Like, that is.
Yeah. I mean, originally the car was intended to be on 19 and 20-inch wheels.
Oh, wow.
What are
that
these?
would have been.
Those are only 18s.
And they look so. It's rare for me to see a 19-inch wheel in person. I'm not going to lie, because what Frankie's shop really focuses on is S chassis and drifting.
It is mostly.
So you don't really see normally over like an 18-inch wheel. But when you
Yeah.
see a 19, that shit looks fucking huge, dude.
Yeah, like 18, 19 stagger is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Like, I do wish I still had my last set of SE4s that are in those pictures. But the 19-inch tires are actually getting really hard to get.
Really? Because you're going to have to run like a rubber band type of tire.
225 35s, 235
Oh my God.
35s.
These are unheard of specs for me.
And I was just ready to kind of change it up because I had just been in the world of 19-inch 1819 staggers since like '04.
Oh wow.
Like that my coupe was on 1819s. That my 14 was on 20s.
What the fuck?
I'm picturing in a dub edition. I played Midnight Club. That was one of my more favorite games. Midnight Club dub edition specifically. They had an IS-300 in it. But 20s on an S14.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell your style from like looking at the magazine, articles and stuff that you were in. The wheels are always super big.
Yeah.
And definitely heavy as fuck.
It was just pushing. I saw that as guys are looking at driving and pushing there. So to me, the chassis aspect of and pushing myself to fit those wheels and to be able to go full lock.
Yeah.
And drive the car normally was like.
Wait, this is new for us because from a style aspect, you basically compared that you're in two different ways you're pushing yourself. Two different drivers, two different car owners, two different personalities. I feel like one person is like, oh, I got to push my driving, and you're pushing the chassis. That's such an interesting way that you said that.
Yeah, like he's trying to fit. Like it's really fitment.
Yeah.
Like wheel fitment sizing and like trying to make it.
Who do you have an inspiration or you're just like, I'm just gonna keep outdoing myself.
There's
like
definitely we were lucky here in California. We had like Japanese bookstores. So you had a lot of you could get a VIP style magazine, and I would look at those, but I'm not looking at them. Well, I was interested in VIP cars, and I was able to work on for other people those cars. But I was looking at them for S chassis, and then also, of course, 326 power, 326 power. And his, Mitsuru Haraguchi with his cars and how he was approaching his car, the chassis, and he like built the GS that was an awesome VIP car.
Yeah.
And then Drift Tengoku would come over to his shop and they're like, oh, we're just gonna go take this out and drift it, and they just shred.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
car.
I just think of the FC. That FC is always like the car I think of.
There's a lot of other cars that he built that are really interesting. Like after that car, that he built like these Mazda sedans and stuff. And
I seen photos.
He'd go crazy on them, and I just admired that.
Yeah, it's almost
just
like
not caring about what other people really care.
Yeah,
and just pushing yourself, and that's I just got lost in that.
It's like a totally different like aspect.
You mentioned you went to Japan. Was that like a life-changing moment for you?
Yeah,
because 326 power. I'm assuming you went there, right?
Well, it's interesting. So the first time I went, and I got to go to, I get 326 power was holding like a drift, and a lot of times they would hold these like drift and dress up events. So I went to one, and I literally was kind of over my coupe, my first build. I had burned myself out in this car. I had spent all my money.
Oh shit!
And I was just doing everything. And I went and I saw their cars. I saw how they built them, and I realized I was taking this too serious.
Okay.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, because I'm sure you got the you got the whole like. Finally, you got to see how they're actually building the cars, and like, because everything I hear about Japan is like, the tools are shitty. Like everything they have like is so low quality. But the
shops
cars
are packed.
The shops are packed. They're like dirty. There's shit everything. There's no organization like this one, like super organized. It's like the opposite of this. So I could see how it's probably like life changing.
Yeah,
going there.
Well, that seeing how they built those cars, that you just you need clearance, you just hammer it.
Yeah.
You know, like I was taking this car and I was doing all this sheet metal work, and like
This is your coupe?
yeah, and then literally like so the car. Remember I told you it had a sunroof?
Yeah.
I went to the junkyard. I took
No, you did not
sunroof off.
roof skin.
I went to a community college that had an auto body program to learn. I wanted to learn sheet metal. You could get the tools, the jig and fixtures, so to properly hold the chassis and then replace the skin
Yeah.
on the roof. So what I did is I took the skin and I took it off reverse, so then the skin was perfect. Like I removed the spot welds from that side, and then also they had cut out, because it had an aftermarket sunroof. They had cut out all the bracing, and then I replaced it. I took the parts, and instead of just like welding it on, drilling holes and welding it all back in, I filled all the holes, and then I painted it with weldable primer and resistance spot welded everything back in, and silicone bronze the seams and
The correct way.
and
This
so the roof.
sounds so exhausting.
It was like
You're building a car.
it was like, so like as far as like school, it was 2 semesters of school for me to do the roof.
I think we need to also acknowledge the fact that that's just a testament to what kind of builder you are. You're like, let me learn about this. I'm going to take a class at a community college to get knowledge so I can get my Esther
Pretty much.
How old were you at that
outlandish.
I was pretty much I was pretty close out of high school.
Oh, okay.
So
So you were building your coupe in high school or right out of high school?
right out of high school,
Okay.
I started ordering parts when I was still in high school.
Okay.
I think last couple of months of like high school.
Yeah.
I had
What was it like ordering parts back then?
it was like the Wild
Not to
West.
age you here.
The Wild West.
It was like, finding just random brokers that say they international sales,
Yeah.
and you're like, can you buy from this company, BN Sports? And they're like, what?
And then shipping that.
Yeah, and they're like, what? Okay, and one of it was just
The
different.
Wild West, I think, is a cool way to describe
Well, and it's just like, and then like, I went over to Work Wheels USA at the time.
Okay.
And I just started bugging them.
and bugging them like, hey.
And they were very nice to me as an annoying kid, and they taught me a lot about wheels. And I presumed to order the most aggressive set of Euroline DHs in 18s and 19s. I think it was like a negative, like 19 by 10, negative 45, and 18 by 9, negative 20 something.
And they were probably like, this is never going to fit.
They're like, we want to order this because we've never seen this wheel with that aggressive of offset.
That's so cool. Like they expressed enthusiasm, and as a kid, I would be fucking on the moon. Like
that's
Work
why
Wheels
I
is
was-
talking to me.
Yeah.
Like, because I thought you were going to say something like, yeah, you open a magazine and there's like a bunch of parts catalogs, and then there's an inquiry form or a number that you call.
Like a mail order type.
Like a mail
catalog.
order type, like when you see like when you opened not necessarily, it could be Super Street, or probably in there, but like you'll see like the
Set by-
sheet of wheels,
Yeah.
and you're like, as a kid, I personally didn't understand logistics because I was a kid when magazines were out,
Yeah.
and I was always just like, how the fuck are people ordering this? Because there wasn't the internet wasn't as like
I love those
affluent.
ads though.
The company that was doing the Work Wheels they still do distribute Work Wheels in the USA. They have been doing it since the early 90s.
Huh.
So they've been, people that build like legitimate race cars and serious stuff that need, center locks and like the real stuff that Work Wheels sells. They had been supplying it for rally cars.
Is that where in the U.S. is it? Is it also in
here.
California?
Yeah.
So
I just
we
added
were-
it to my list of
This
places
is
to
this
visit.
is just a damn hub of, because we mentioned a bunch of companies earlier, and you were just now, you were like, oh yeah, American Racing is down the road.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, but it's just so amazing to me that that's the route that you always take. For example, we were talking about your building here, and I was like, did you do this? And you're like, just the drywall wasn't done by me.
Yeah.
And the door, this gigantic
door.
steel door,
Yeah.
which I
was
had
really
no
nice.
idea had
Yeah.
a crazy amount of.
I hired a lot of people to help me for sure, though.
But speaking
it's
of
fun.
hired though, I want to say that this is a one-man operation right now.
Yeah.
You're making parts,
Making parts, selling parts.
which we didn't even
working
get to
on
talk
cars.
about yet, and selling parts, and doing social media, which is a task on its own.
Yeah. Yeah, and the social media looks good.
The social media looks great. Man.
It is the bane of my existence. I dislike social. I mean,
You need it. You need
yeah.
it, but you don't want to use
and
it.
I mean, and I really do enjoy connecting with people.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's the whole thing that this is all about. When you get down to the brass tacks of why we're into cars, is really the people that you meet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, which
mean,
is kind of
dude,
like the whole point of this.
Yeah,
whole
this
trip.
podcast, I always bring it up. I'm like, one of my favorite things is the fact that Frankie kind of blessed me with the opportunity to do this because I get to come and do this. I met you a few minutes ago. Not a few minutes. We've been here for a little bit, but we met and I'm like, what the fuck? This guy's so cool.
But isn't it crazy that you can come like across the country and meet someone and have some level of like connection?
Yeah.
Whereas like you could go into like, you go to a restaurant and you're just in a room full of people and you're just like, you have no connection
Yeah,
to it.
isolated.
You
Yeah,
could just
then
be completely isolated.
And then here it's like we talked together and we're like, yeah, we're talking about the same brands and the same styles.
But it's like a clash of cultures though.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
I mean, especially here because his way of building cars is different from like what we're doing at the shop, but it's similar in certain ways.
It's absolutely.
especially,
Yeah.
I feel like in the engine bay, because these are not just show.
Yeah.
They're both that one, the S14, a lot less than S13
Yeah,
because
because 14 is more like the
if
Street car.
calm, relaxed.
when you guys see this YouTube video, that turbo in there is pretty big,
Yeah.
and I think you said this one has 500. The S13 has
The
500
last
something.
time it was dynoed, it was 510.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Yep.
And at this height, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but if you can't, just watch our YouTube video that we had on this trip and you'll see it.
That is, I keep looking at that because I can't unsee it. That's a good 3.5 inches of the rim
Yeah.
in the fucking fender.
And like this reminds me of like when you built this car, which was like what, 14, 12, somewhere around there, 2000?
Yeah, I think I started on it around 2012. I
Yeah.
started working on this.
And this brings me back to that because like I remember seeing so many cars at this height, like and drifting too.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I feel like I want to, and I think you're gonna make a statement when your car comes back out.
Well, I would never run it this low.
Not this low, but your car.
I used to.
Frankie's car is pretty low.
Yeah.
But see, it's not all about that.
Yeah.
Like people come to me and they're like, oh, low, low, low.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
There's a way, the car can be styled right.
At the right height. Yeah.
This car, if it was an inch higher, would not look right.
I get what you're saying.
Like that to me.
Yeah.
That's just how it
I
is.
completely understand what you're saying. Because just the way the body kit is, like, it being higher, the body kit's going to have more of a gap, and, like, it's not all going to come together the way that you envisioned it. You know what I mean? So I totally understand what you're saying. And I'm kind of the same way with my car when I'm putting it together. Like, and I have a 1718 setup, and I have BN Sports. So, you know how BN Sports is, like, very level with the ground?
Type 2.
Type 2. Or Type 3. But, yeah. So it's very level with the ground.
The coupe or coupe?
It's a hatch.
Hatch.
But like, so 17, 18, you try to get the height right. So
Yeah.
the way what you end up with is the front gap looks bigger than you
Yeah.
want it to. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
all, it's like, it's interesting because if you look at a lot of the cars that were styled with the BN Sports and you look at and they're running staggered and you're like, how do they look
Good.
good? They're running about 9 to 10 degrees in front camber.
Yeah. So it really picks up the wheel, the top of the wheel almost,
The wheel
right?
that compensates that gap.
Yeah.
The
and
rim
and that's
Pushes the corner of that rim.
Yeah,
and
up
and
high.
you look at if you look at the Type 3 hatch kit,
Yeah.
like the red demo car with the inverted hatch.
Yeah.
You look at the front camber, and you're like, that's what they did with the 1819s.
That makes sense.
I've just spent like so much time looking at that.
I appreciate that kind of stuff.
And then it's like, it's same thing with like the S14. It's like I knew the number that I wanted 6 degrees of camber before I did that setup.
Okay.
And then I built that car. I did
Like around that.
And then like it's running spacers, which in America we seem to have a thing against.
Yeah, there's like some weird
thing against spacers, but if you go to look at the like all the like the older, like if you look at not even the older, but the Japanese demo cars, they're all running spacers because
They're fucking wildly thick.
Yeah.
they're looking for, and that car is perfectly square, front and rear, which drives me crazy on 14s because, you know, the hardest thing that always is S14s taper.
Okay.
The wheel wells tape, the body tapers in the back. So the front of the wheel well and the rear of the wheel well
Are different.
You know, you can't be.
The front is a little wider.
If you're tucking any rim, it's got to be flush to the rear of the wheel well.
Oh, okay.
Because the front, and then you always have a gap in the front.
Yeah.
I will never look at S13s and 14s the same.
Yeah.
After knowing some of the things that I have come here and found out.
Like that.
How did you find that out?
Yeah, like that's what I'm wondering.
Just like fitting a lot, just
Yeah.
screwing with it too much.
Because I thought you were going to go the other way, where you're going to be like, you know, when you start extending lower control arms and stuff like that, and then the front starts getting wider, and the rear is still like the same track width. That's usually our problem, because we'll run like S14 lower control arms to, you know, help with drifting in a way.
Yeah.
But then the front starts getting wider.
Yeah.
And you look at it from the back, and you're like, now I just don't like how it looks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. The rear on the 13, it's a 30 mil longer lower control arm.
Oh wow.
What the fuck?
That's a lot, dude.
Because of the axle line, to get the axle.
Oh. Okay.
So what do you do
So
for
you can't,
axles back
so
there?
I can't run, like people think I'm running really low offsets on that car, and it's not, because the arms are actually.
Yeah, the arms are just pushed out.
You don't have any problems with the do you have an axle spacer? A car that comes to mind for me on that is an S2000.
Well, if you think about it, so that car's really low, and I'm not running a drop knuckle because you can't run that much tuck on our wheel and run a drop knuckle because of how the wheel cycles. You have to run a stock knuckle because the camber gain is more aggressive essentially, so you could clear the fender.
Interesting.
So when it gets that low, it's so close, and everyone keeps blowing up axles. Back in the day, everyone blew up axles, and I just started extending it, and you know, essentially, like when you look at the back of that car, the arms are up like that.
Yeah.
But since it's been spaced out, the axle has enough plunge, because it sounds like a lot, but because it's gone up so much and it's back out, that the axle still.
So you're kind of giving it more room. It's weird, because when you think about it right off the bat, you're kind of like, wouldn't that make it worse?
No, because it's and then you know, like if you look at the axles, because that's still running the old tripods.
Okay.
I'm not running like the Z axles. Which I want to do eventually. When you watch them, like if you put on a dyno or something, and you watch the axles, they jump in and out.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of times when guys blow up, they bottom out on the inside, and like when I was doing, like people I knew were taking their axles off, you could see the dents.
Wow.
From the plungers.
Yeah, and I've actually seen axles fall apart from the inside too.
It's because they smash down. So when having it extended out a little bit, it gave it enough room so the axles actually. So when you
That's really interesting, because we literally would think the opposite.
Yeah.
Like people make spacers and everything.
Well, it's like, if it's interesting, like this car had a heavy exhaust on it with that engine.
Okay.
The first setup was really quiet because I had some idea that I was going to drive this thing on the street with 510 horsepower, but you could hear the axles.
Yeah.
And so when you roll into it, I'm like, oh, and I'd take it back and I'd move that. Same with the 14, and and
That's so crazy.
just keep playing with that. And then like, it's not, so that's actually, it's a modified make and control arm.
Yeah, yeah.
And like every control arm you see has that deflection for the
A little bit, the end ball joint area.
The ball joint. I run them flat because if you think about almost every setup, you're almost on the edge of the ball joint.
Yeah.
And I came to realize that
makes sense too.
yeah.
And that's something that a lot of us don't think about.
I was literally literally thinking in my head, I'm like, everyone who's blowing Z axles, right?
Yeah.
What if that's like a different issue that I feel like we don't even really have? I don't think about that. I'm like, it's probably short.
You should be able to move, like right now, go under that car
And move it back and forth.
you can do a good inch
Play. Yeah.
and it's not falling out of the cups.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like,
But it's because of, okay, the car was originally, wheel was down here, body's up here.
Yeah.
Now you're like,
The opposite.
and then you extend it out, and it's just like
it corrects it a little bit.
I don't know.
I guess the real thing is there's a height at where this all changes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you're obviously you're past that point.
Absolutely. But I think this does apply. A lot of times I had customers come to me and they would just be going through, they would do this first round on their build where they finally buy control arms. They buy control arms for their car.
Yeah, yeah.
And first thing is take out all that camber. Take out all that camber, and then they're driving their cars and
Yeah.
and they're like, "What's going on?" And
They're shortening the
let's say your natural camber was like that.
Yeah.
And you took it out, and now you have too much.
You're talking the rear upper, taking
Yeah.
out the rear upper.
They
Okay.
take all the camber out, and now you're
Yeah.
hearing that. You got that. You got the ball joint coming towards the edge
Okay.
of its limit.
Yeah.
And then and then but that's what I always notice is, so I mean, you could at that point put a spacer on, shorten it up,
Yeah.
helps out with that.
Yeah.
But then you get past the sanity mark and you go stupid.
Yeah. That's really what it is, because I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, so if the axle is relatively straight, then you should be pretty good, depending on how far you push
It's
the
all
wheel
just
out,
feeling that axle,
and making sure there's play in it.
make sure there's enough punch.
That's so
If it's
interesting.
like you move it and it's just
Yeah.
barely. It's
I remember
just,
I ran axle spacers once. That shit flew off on the hairpin at English Town.
See, that's my thing. Is I'm like, would axle spacers then just make it worse?
I think it depends on, like we're saying.
every application.
Yeah, it depends on your height and what you're running.
You best know. I'm gonna go home and grab my axles and go like this because I have that thing.
I can't remember. I might be running 14 axles on that.
Okay.
So that's also I extended it, but I know, but running a longer axle
Was helping you.
helping me.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was so
Yeah.
many years ago. I messed with that rear end in that setup.
Yeah, it's interesting. But it kind of makes sense with the height.
Now that it's with the Z axles, you have, I mean,
Because they're a different design.
they're like the ball captured
Okay.
ball bearing.
And then you got people that are just breaking these things because of power levels and drifting.
Yeah.
So that's kind of different.
But now it's got me thinking when I see one and somebody's complaining about they're going through axles and stuff, and I'm seeing the height. Now I'm gonna think about it differently. I'm like, well, is it because of
Is it
the
too
way
long?
your
Is it too short?
alignment is,
Yeah.
or is it
The track
now I'm
width.
going to be looking at this differently, and again, mental note. like I need to take these mental notes into consideration because like I'm learning
Yeah.
constantly, and
He drives a IS 300. I don't know if he told you yet.
yeah, but I'm just like the way that you attack these problems just astounds me because again, you had a problem, you're like, I'm gonna fucking sit here and figure this shit out.
Yeah.
Like as an example, I'm just gonna bring up again, you have a handful of good products on your website that you make.
Thank you.
One of them being such a simple concept to have. It's a spacer for the rear lock of an S13
When you
for you
get-
to have a Type X
Yeah.
rear, center garnish for your taillights. And like that's so. Me and Frankie just keep talking about this.
Yeah, so
product.
we were going over your stuff this morning because we knew we were going to come here, and we were just looking at your products and whatnot. And I was like, I saw that one, and I was like, no fucking way. I was like my first thought
seriously.
when I see something like that is always, how the fuck am I this stupid that I didn't think about this? That's always my first thought. And then I'm just like, I would 100% use that.
Yeah,
But it's literally just screwing.
So simple.
Yeah, but I screw up things a lot.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I just
yeah.
I have a tendency to keep fussing with things, even when they're okay, and I keep fussing and I screw them up, and then I have to go right back and figure it out. And that was kind of like, I had taken on, I was going through Tails a lot, and it was just one of those things I was kind of always going through my head. And then also, like, trying to teach myself the drawings.
3D printing.
Printing.
That's a
Yeah.
whole
And
completely.
that's a whole
different
nother thing. And literally, I haven't made any products because I haven't learned any.
Yeah.
Done any better. But that was a very easy, like.
And
It was more of like a project. Like, I want to learn how to make this pattern. And
Yeah.
then how do I make it thicker? And
So you're like making a product, but you're also just using it to teach yourself how to do it. And the other thing is, like, I have this thing with 3D printed stuff where I usually hate it because I hate seeing how it looks. But you found a perfect way to use it because you'll never see that.
never see it.
It's hidden.
I'm just because again, I asked you earlier, like, hey, do you have like a business background or something? Because you found a market for your parts, so you found your funding when you were younger. Like, oh shit, like I can actually do this.
That
and
was
then now
only
you're telling
about-
me you taught yourself how to do CAD stuff.
That was only about 4 years ago.
The part stuff.
Parts.
Okay.
This is just like, again, if there's something that you want to do, I guess you just gotta go fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like, because again, when we were driving here, me and Frankie, we always kind of have these little powwows before the podcast. It's kind of like, what should we talk about? Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, half-ass planning something for once. But I said, if somebody's gotten this far and everybody's going to tell you, again, that's too low, that does this, but you continue to pursue something, that to me is passion. And this is like a gigantic passion project you got going on here.
It does. Yeah.
Because again, this is an awesome facility from the outside. It looks like a almost looks kind of Japanese building looking because it's a square from the front.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah.
And the roof tiles that you guys got here in California that are orange and whatever color.
Yeah.
It's just a passion project that it's.
You know, another thing I'm thinking about too, it's like there's so many parts that have came out in the last 5 years that help, 5 to 10 years maybe, that really help lowered cars drive well. You know what I mean?
This doesn't have any of it.
That's what I was going to ask. You probably, because you were doing all this before that really happened. Like even the Part Shop Max, like rear knuckles, front knuckles, all that stuff.
Yeah, like these are the 326, the cut knuckles.
Okay.
And they're not the best knuckles, but it's fine for being.
What's
I
your,
actually haven't driven on them.
oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
we'll see how. But as far as clearance, they were.
What's your front tie rod setup like?
Whatchamacallit, a Kia Formula with.
Is it like adjustable outer?
So like, you know, the Kia Formulas have like the adjustable inner. It's like two
Yeah,
piece.
yeah.
It's like and then I have the rack spacer.
Okay.
So I have rack spacer, a Kia Formula,
No.
and then
Does it have a height adjustment on the outer?
No.
No. Okay. So
No.
it's still like a stock
Yeah.
setup. So they're probably like shooting to the moon right now. Yeah. You know what I always found funny too about that is people make like.
The inverted mounted ones. Is that what you're going to say?
No, I'm thinking about like SPL and all those companies. They'll make like a roll center correction outer tie rods, right?
Yeah.
I've always had this thing where they usually make the car feel worse.
They do, because essentially you're taking the bump steer and, you know, you have a lower control arm like this.
Yeah.
And if you make the tie rod sit down, it's two different aspect ratios. So as it cycles, instead of it, you know, having a little bump steer and toe out feels okay. But if you have a bump and toe in, It makes it.
What the fuck?
No,
God
I don't want
damn
to.
it.
No, I don't want to sit
Another
here.
mental note.
I don't want to sit here and act like we're both engineers. So
no,
maybe
no,
we're
no,
missing
no, no, no,
something.
no.
But I feel exactly the same way that you're explaining it too, because we'll put some of those on customer cars and we'll try to adjust the height, and it's like it never feels.
Never right.
Yeah, it's never right.
You put it at 0 toe, and you go drive it, and you're like, dude, this is dangerous.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Yeah, I've tried them.
And I ran that. I ran those ever since I had knuckles on my car,
I'll never.
and it feels like shit.
I'll never run. I'll never ever gonna run
Like adjustable outers.
adjustable hours or like any sort of
Roll center correction.
Heim joint style tie rod end.
Okay, yeah,
Just run a captive.
yeah.
I mean, and,
For street cars and
yeah,
whatnot. Yeah,
and I mean, I'm thinking eventually. I'd like to definitely try the drop knuckles. My buddy
Yeah.
up in Washington's running them. He swears by them.
I think so. When I installed those in my car, this is a while ago.
You running the newer the
I'm running like the street, like the normal front knuckles, they're drop knuckles, and then I'm running the rear ones, and I'm not running the crazy ones. I think they have new ones. I'm
Yeah.
running like not the first gen, but I think Tommy sent me like a changed version, maybe in like 2018.
okay.
It's funny because I'm pretty sure I hate to talk on something I'm not 100% sure on, but one of them, like the front ones or the rear ones, you'd put them on and you'd have to raise your car up like an inch or something because it has an inch of correction.
Right.
And then the rear, I think it was the rear really did help a lot. But the front was almost the opposite or something. It was like, because they're extending where the ball joint is picking up on the bottom, not the strut tower.
Right.
But the rear is moving, I think it was moving the strut tower or something and not the pickup points of the arms. I don't know. It was one of the others. But it was like doing the opposite from front and rear. So in the rear, you actually gained suspension travel, I'm pretty sure. And all the arms were able to clear the subframe and everything like that. So yeah, the rear I really liked a lot.
If I ever redid this car, I would probably. I probably would make a fender. If I was making a fender, I would make it with a drop knuckle.
Yeah. I mean, that would be the other question. How the hell, like, what is the control arm, like the upper control arm set up on this? Like,
The first batch PBM arms back when, they're just
the angled ones?
Yeah, the ones with the gnarly.
Okay.
That, it's like this. And
Yeah. I got a funny story about that. I had those arms, and then I got their knuckles, and I went to use both of them, and there was a problem with it.
Yeah.
So I talked to Tommy, and he was like, yeah, we're actually in the middle of trying to fix
Transition.
this. Yeah, and then that's when they fixed it, and I think they sent me a different rear upper. And
Yeah,
that was the
they have
thing
that new upper, and then that upper doesn't work. It works okay with
The stock setup.
knuckles, but
not perfect.
clearance is not that
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
There's a lot of pertinent information here, like a lot of critical information
For
here
low cars.
for low cars to drift correctly. And for some reason, I don't know why, but when you were explaining it, the stroke of the suspension and when you're when you're hitting a bump and it's towing out, which in drifting would feel great. If you have a roll center correction, I'm picturing it as like a circle, like your suspension's traveling like this, and they're working together. And to a point, I feel like it's meant to go like that.
Yeah, well, you want the lower control arm and you want the tie rod to be
to be together.
Yeah.
And function together.
If you look at a factory setup, if this is the lower control arm, the tie rod is always a little bit
Slightly
angled
higher.
up higher.
Okay.
So then it tows out.
I see.
And a lot of the other setup, if it's level, it's okay. It feels all right.
But then people
you have
will
to-
think like, oh, I gotta roll center correct the outer tie rod. But it's like, yeah, you're doing that, but you're not compensating the lower control arm.
Yeah.
So
It's one of the suspension is just infinity of trial and error.
Yeah.
And
a combination of parts too. Like if you're running a drop knuckle and then you go to run an outer tie rod that has a roll center correction, you might be overcompensating, because they would have took that into consideration with a knuckle.
Yeah, and for an IS, the suspension setup is like you have a ball joint that's on the bottom.
Yeah, the IS setup is a nightmare.
And now I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, because once I put that knuckle on, the car drives like shit on the road.
What does it do? Does it bump steer?
yeah, like
What-
hell.
What knuckle?
It's like a bolt-on solution from Drift HQ.
A lot of them are
Oh,
the
yeah.
same. A lot of them are very
So is
similar.
this
The same
for the front? Or
the
for
front, the front.
So is it like an RCA?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's a roll center adjustment with also relocating the
Pickup point for the
s-
tie rod.
For the pickup point for the tie rod, as well as the spindle kind of spaces out. It,
So
it
it's
offsets it.
adjusting-
a
That's the
little bit
part
more.
I don't like.
Yeah.
That it spaces the spindle out, because now it's like
It has a wild amount of front camber.
it has a wider track width in the front too, which is like a pain in the
Well,
ass.
it's like, because I used to make RCAs for IS, GS.
What? What the fuck? like,
But-
what haven't you made, dude?
Well, used to be, I don't know, battle version?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was right out here, and
Oh
we
shit.
got, we got
what
to,
the hell, man?
and he was a guru of,
Yeah.
he really liked the SCs just because they were different and they
Yeah.
were cheap.
Most of the suspension on Toyota seems to be the same in the front.
Daryl
You wanna- you
Daryl
wanna-
loves battle version.
You want to talk to him, you want a good setup, you talk.
Where is he now?
He's up in NorCal.
NorCal. Okay.
He does mostly Porsches, I think, if I'm not.
Oh,
Oh, really?
my God.
Yeah.
But does he still sell stuff? Or?
He still sells his battle versions, like his tried and true battle version stuff.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I think it ships out from down here, so I think it's still all made down here. But
That's
he's one of the coolest guys you can talk to. Like if you want no bullshit, no frills, no hype, no nothing. You just want to talk suspension.
Yeah.
You talk to, and he's a really nice guy, and he knows his.
That would be cool to
Yeah.
do. We have like a list we're making right now of all
Alex
the people that are
is-
in NorCal.
Alex is one of those guys.
that's one of those names when you hear it, it just sounds so fucking
Legend.
cool.
Yeah.
Battle
Battle
version.
Yeah.
Alex Pfeiffer, man. I mean, he was just like when he went to D1. I mean, we all lost our mind. 'Cause
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was someone who was,
He's like a local
just
to
a
you guys.
normal. Yeah.
That's crazy. What the fuck?
He's just a really humble, really
That's
nice guy.
yet another component of the car industry, like
Yeah.
our industry, is in California.
Yeah. Just
I
another
didn't
one. Just
realize
another
how big
name
of a
to add to the
hub
list.
that this state has in terms of automotive
'Cause
influence.
I think he makes something for the. I don't know if he makes it for the IS.
I'm gonna definitely take
but
a look.
I think he makes a roll center adjustment. But I think I know the part you're talking about.
You cut the ball joints and
Yeah,
you
so
bolt it
his I can't remember what his does, but I don't think it adjusts the scrub as much as what you're running. Yours essentially moves the wheels
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
See,
exactly.
his does not. I don't think I'm trying to.
Which is
it's
what I would
it's just a spacer. It just goes straight through, so you're just running longer bolts, and then it has the different geometry for the tie rods.
Interesting. Because I
I'm
think
not
that's what
sure.
you're running on the Cressida.
We're running
For
an excessive
excessive
part.
manufacturing is
Yeah.
kind of a similar design.
Okay, but here's the thing. Miyagi has a roll center correction piece, and then we put the knuckle under it. So it's basically the same situation as yours.
Oh,
But even worse, because it's like two separate pieces, and I had to like modify one.
I don't.
One of them is a Techno Toy part, which is a really nice part.
Yeah.
And then we had to put the excessive part on it. So we had to like cut the Techno Toy tuning one up. It was so bad.
This sounds terrible. I
It
didn't
works,
know that.
but it's like it's just totally different from a Nissan. Like those front
It's
suspension setups.
funny because going back, so I was making those RCAs, and we were just mostly doing it because guys were it was still those body cars were mostly VIP, and guys wanted more camber, but then a couple guys started running them for drifting and really liking the higher scrub, and it's just a whole nother thing. You can always keep screwing with the
Yeah.
suspension.
I just went on Battle Version's website. It's down,
Is it?
unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah,
Damn.
that's a real big bummer.
That must be recent because Daryl just ordered some stuff from there a couple months ago.
I mean, it could be my phone, but I'm pretty sure because every link I'm clicking on from their website is bringing me to the same page.
I know, yeah, it was cool. He just used to go over there, and he'd literally just sit there all night with the jigs and just smoking cigarette after cigarette and welding up control arms. All night long.
So he's doing all of it just handmade.
He used to do it. Now I think
Someone's doing it probably.
Yeah. So now I think he works with someone down here. They still do all the manufacturing just because the machine shops are down here.
Yeah,
Everything's
yeah.
here, and he's working up in NorCal. he's got his whole family and everything up there.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, hopefully he's still doing that stuff.
I need to look at that. I have a lot of stuff I need to check on my car after talking about suspension with you
Yeah.
today. Like
Suspension can get deep. You could really go down the rabbit hole.
fun.
With that.
what do you do? Do you have any aside from finishing your showcase space and your workspace? Like, do you have any future? What are you gonna do next, dude? Like,
I want to
else
make
are you
more
gonna
products.
Make more
Really?
products.
Yeah, that's the goal, because I see that as the most sustainable thing.
It's funny that you bring that up because that's exactly what Jason was saying on our last podcast.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he was like, I really want to make parts. Like he wants to sell parts.
I mean, dude,
Yeah.
Kyle, you're way underway, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you impress me in every way, shape, and form, and there's gonna not be a doubt in my mind where I'll see your name on something.
Well, I hope so. The hardest thing is I don't have the mind for the computer aspect of it. So all the projects I've done have been relying on
Someone else.
someone else, and I've had a couple projects, 3 or 4 products that have just fallen by the wayside because I had paid someone else or someone, and it never,
I can relate to that.
After
I
the
was gonna
first,
say.
after the first payment, just
It dwindles down. Communication
or
becomes
you need to
harder.
reprise something.
Yeah. Or like in my situation, it'll be like a friend or something. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then it doesn't happen.
So, and I really, as far as the drafting software and stuff, I can't get it. It's
Yeah.
just like a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
Like for me,
I don't even try. So I mean, you're doing.
No,
better than
yeah,
me.
you're well ahead. But I feel like
So-
for me, when I can't do something, I think we talked about this. Everyone has their own specializations, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would go to somebody with my vision, and the problem there is that if it's your vision and somebody else is trying to execute it, it will never be the way
Yeah.
that you want it to be.
like doing stamped steel, like sheet metal products. I mean, to me, that's the bread and butter to a lot of products is sheet metal, and now 3D printing. I mean,
Yeah. 3D printing is a big thing.
Scanning
Scanning.
things.
Like I released the spoiler for the
Yeah.
Which I love, by the way.
Thank you. And that was so the aspect I knew of making FRP parts was the old school way. You just take foam, you make one part, and you pull the mold off of it.
Yeah.
So I worked with Cody from Castle Designs.
That sounds familiar, but I don't know how I would know that.
And that was a whole nother experience because we took it, he 3D scanned the car and we essentially 3D printed the part. And then I took the part and finished working it and then had the mold pulled off of it. And that was a whole nother learning experience. And
I mean, it came out awesome. That's like, we were looking at that wing too. So it's a wing for a 180SX or a hatch 240. And it's, it's one of those D-Max style, but it's got like a little twist on it.
yeah, it's all the things
Yeah.
that bothered me.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to make the spoil in my head. I wanted to make a spoiler that just mounts on the back of the car, literally.
Okay.
And I might make that version.
Yeah, yeah.
But this was when we were working together. This was like this might sell. That the other design is what you want.
yeah,
But, like,
yeah. I get what you're saying.
This is
You have
what-
to make a compromise here or there.
and
yeah.
it fits. It's a really nice piece, and it's been that took a long time.
Yeah.
Because it just was a big learning
Yeah.
process, and definitely making. The thing though is it's done okay, but it's definitely not done as well as I hoped.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel, especially with S chassis, is people are not wanting to do new designs
Yeah.
for the cars. They've gotten to the point where it's become, it's a classic,
Yeah.
and people.
And people are trying to replicate something that they saw. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're like, oh, I liked it, that with that kit, with that wing, and it's like everything's kind of already been done.
Yeah.
So unless you're going to,
Like, I mean,
Make new
my
stuff.
hat's off to Origin with the Raceline stuff.
Yeah.
Because I saw the Raceline stuff and I was just like, no.
Yeah. Like it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah, but they, I think it's definitely the people who've run the race line. That image is what sells. That feel is what
For
sells.
sure.
So it's just, and it's the same thing, but I don't know. Like I would love to make new Aero parts.
Yeah.
I just don't know how.
To go about it.
No, it's just
What the style.
if people are gonna want it.
Yeah.
Like you see guys in Japan, like still pushing, and they do small, I can't remember the name of the shop, but they do like these radiused over fenders, over stock fenders. Is Wara body, I think it's called. But, it's great to see it. People are still pushing it. And I don't know. I don't know if people want new stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way you felt about the Origin kit. And I still do. But then you'll see it on like Naoki's car. Yeah. And you're like, all right. Like it could work.
It can work. Yeah. But again, like
with certain
it's
car
for
styles.
a different market. Because you think of a racing line, it's a lot shorter. It's not more on the ground as much. It doesn't have that like hovering
It's
effect.
literally a completely different style than what we're used to with the body kits. Because usually the body kits were made to be lower so your car didn't have to be low.
Yeah.
So it would kind of give it that look, even though people like us would just slam the car anyway. But that was the whole point. Like BN Sports would be ridiculously extended. That way the car could be higher. But now it's almost like the style is changing. The cars are getting higher and the body kits are getting higher.
Yeah.
It's
then,
like
or unless you
weird...
go to like what's that new Origin line?
Which one?
The super aggressive. It's got like whip-de-doos on whip-de-doos.
Yeah. Fusion.
Attack line.
Oh, attack line. Yeah.
Attack line.
I don't even know what
they have. A lot
of
them now.
It's like this. It's like this tall.
Yeah.
So
and then they got the under panels and everything.
Yeah. I love all of it though. It's
cool.
great.
Yeah. It just gives everyone more options on what to do.
Yeah, but it's just definitely, it's. I mean, like I make Miata the skid plates.
I saw those skid plates.
I know. And how are you cutting?
So that's like stamped steel. I
guess,
those
are laser.
Laser cut.
Laser.
That's what I. Oh well, I said plasma, but I don't even really know what mediums
they
are.
used to be
plasma cut.
It's the same thing. I used to have them plasma, but now the company, which I just found out, I was going to order another batch. The shop I was having cut them. They're like, you're not cutting enough.
Yeah.
I need to.
The minimum needs to be.
The minimum has to be way higher. They're like, we're going to drop you.
Dude.
So I got to find a new company, which it just is like a bidding process.
Yeah.
And just get out and.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass too.
But the Miatas, I love the Miata. It's such a fun car, and it has a great. The community is great.
Yeah.
The people that own them are fantastic, and definitely want to make more parts.
You got to be a certain type of person to drive a hairdresser car around, and still be.
What's funny is Kyle is tall as fuck. For those of you who are watching, he is tall as hell.
You want to see him in the Miata?
And I'm trying to picture you in the Miata because. Does your head surpass the?
No, so I have to like slouch.
Oh yeah.
Or a common thing is what I want to do in my next car I build is I'm actually going to lower the floor.
Damn.
Which is actually a pretty common practice.
Is it?
Yeah. They sell kits to do that.
Oh, in the Miatas.
In the Miatas to lower the floor.
Like replace the floor pan almost on that side or something?
Yeah, it drops that. But my first actual feature was in the Miata.
Oh, really?
I was featured in Speed Hunters.
Okay.
And long time ago.
Yeah.
Judging by that,
I can't think of when it was, but it was. It's just one of those odd cars. It's just so I featured. I did that car and it had 15 by 10 Steelies, and now.
Oh my God.
Now it's like kind of frowned upon, but back then I feel like Steelies were
no
hot.
one. I mean, I bought those wheels because Diamond Racing is out that your guys' way.
I don't even know where they are.
I
have a weird feeling they'd be in like Indiana.
They're like somewhere, and I do.
That's a wild guess.
I literally filled out like a piece of paper to them with the specs and sent it to them. like you could file or you could call them,
Literally like a mail in.
and they're like, we need a hard copy of what you want, and you'd mail it in, and it was like $55 a wheel, and they'd made them, and they're like
$55 a wheel.
yeah, they were like, and they're like, what are you putting these on? And I'm like, a Miata, and they're like, that's really going to be bad for the hub bearings.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like- and the car I had bought I had bought it off a friend, and he had 15x10 equips, so he already had worked the fenders. I put those diamonds, the steelies on it, and people just went. It was the weirdest thing. People went bananas.
Yeah, yeah.
I think not, and to go back on like making Aero and the wondering if anybody will buy it. I think it's harder to make a bigger ticket item like that.
Yeah.
And expect to sell in batches.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, the skid plates. I think from like a profit standpoint and a business standpoint, that skid plate is a lot better of a product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially for somebody like you that's a fucking one-man operation here.
Yeah. The
So-
amount of time you have to invest into making Aero parts.
It's a long time.
Yeah, dude.
And I feel
And
like
then-
it's not going to come back in terms of investment.
But I definitely want to, like, what I'd like to do is start stocking some of the like kind of tried and true kits, BN Sports.
Yeah.
And I do offer for people if they want to purchase it.
You can source
I
it.
import BN Sports, Wonder, whatever, all those kits. I can get all those kits, but just the amount now I have a little more space, I could actually carry a few of them.
Yeah, yeah.
What would you what chassis would you carry on hand just out of curiosity?
Well, probably S13 hatchback.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Not, I probably wouldn't, because I worked with the guys at Neo Project to import their fenders for S14. They make, I think, one of the nicer S14 over fenders. Neo Project sold the molds to 326 Power.
Oh.
And now they're sold under the 326 Power name.
Oh, wow.
But I've had a heck of a time selling anything they're a little bit different. They look like a stock fender that's flared a little bit,
Yeah.
not like a big they're not like an over fender.
Yeah.
And I've had a heck of a time selling them.
Yeah.
And so I'd probably just do a 13 hatchback for sure in stock.
I mean, we're in the same business. Stocking Aero like that.
hard.
I mean,
It's a gamble.
Even for us, like you would think we would be we'd have a good shot at selling it because we have drifters all around us coming to us.
Yeah.
Always.
And they break everything. So,
But they don't want legit parts.
I mean, Origin seems to be the easiest one because it's the cheapest one.
How has it been, how has the quality been? Because I ordered some fenders for a guy and it was just like,
Yeah. I mean, so the quality on Origin stuff has never been high, to me at least.
Yeah.
And to pretty much
I s-
everyone I've spoken to. But I've never had a situation, me personally, where I've put the fender on and I would say this is unusable. Now, keep in mind, I'm building drift cars.
yeah.
So if I was building a show car and I try to put an Origin fender on, I'd be pretty upset.
Yeah, because I ordered some Origin fenders. The last parts I ordered, and I don't know if I think they were just put too green. They were boxed up too green.
Yeah.
And the fender was like,
Bowed it in a
well,
certain way.
the natural shape is like if you're looking down the front of it, it's
Yeah.
like that. It was like that.
Yeah. I haven't had anything really bad, but I have heard stories. So
From Jimmy specifically.
yeah,
He was
Jimmy
like,
was saying.
I mean, that was kind of hard to fit. Like,
yeah,
and
he was bummed about it.
He was pretty bummed. I would be bummed about it too.
Yeah.
And that's crazy that you brought it up immediately because
Yeah,
I
that's a thing.
wouldn't know that. To me, I'm like, oh, Origin. It's like it's Origin.
Yeah, but it's still
But then you get like a BN Sports, an
Yeah.
authentic BN Sports,
and then your whole
part,
life's changed.
and you just go.
Yeah,
Like, have you gotten their over fenders?
yeah. And over fenders, I don't think I've installed those before. No.
They have guide pins.
Are these them?
Yeah, those are BN Sports.
I got to take a better look at those later.
So when you buy them, they have these beautiful little.
and where do they guide into? Like
So
the
the
inside
to
or the-
center it in the fender well.
Okay.
So
Wow.
it literally you just go.
Yeah. Like Origin,
That's
you're all,
so cool.
I mean, dude, I've spent
What the
I've spent
fuck?
hours installing Origin over fenders on cars. Hours, like just
know.
trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you got to go to the other side, like
Making them look match.
yeah.
Dude, those fenders, like if I ever, yeah, their 14 over fenders are unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean,
Their front fenders come all drilled and everything.
those front fenders are them?
Those are the
Really?
BN.
They
check
come
those too.
drilled as well.
Like holes and
'Cause
everything.
to me, I mean,
Even
really-
so, like let's say you know how you run if you run a Type X, they have like clips and stuff
yeah.
for the.
Yes, yeah, I've seen that before.
Those come pre-drilled for the clips
Yeah.
and everything from BN Sports. So you actually have to fill those holes if you're not going to run
Yeah.
Type X.
Yeah, BN Sports is another level. I mean, you get what you pay for. But the thing is, I've seen brands that aren't as expensive also very well. One that comes to mind is PS Deuce.
Yeah,
We've put
PS
that on a
Deuce
bunch
is
of cars.
great. It's just so thin.
Yeah,
It's
it
2
does
layers.
feel thin.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, BN
Miata
Sports.
PS Deuce kit.
BN Sports feels like it could take a beating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
then,
I've proven that wrong.
like if you look in I don't know if they still do it. It's been a while since I bought BN Sports, but their early stuff would have different directional chop mesh. Like the fiberglass would be, it'd be a woven on the corners and then chop mesh on the middle.
Okay. Just to, I guess, strengthen it in different
Yeah,
ways.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I love Aero. That's like one of my.
Yeah, I could
I feel
see.
like Aero is like one of those things that can change a fucking car.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like
Like imagine if this had like your style body kit.
Well, he did because
I had Type 2.
it had Type 2
In the
BN
pictures.
Sports in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
and,
I was like,
and it looks completely
to
different.
be honest, I like this more.
I love this now.
Yeah.
Like way more. I don't know if you do, but
Yeah.
I was talking.
Type 2, I can't look at Type 2 BN Sports anymore.
It's
I can't do it. You know why? It's because of the VIS and all
Yeah.
yeah. Everyone had that.
it also you can tell so you have a Type 3.
Yeah.
If it's a lot nicer
Yeah.
too.
I never really
It's sharper.
I never messed with a Type 2 BN Sports kit, only the replicas.
You have to take out if you're anything low on
the rear?
the rears hang way lower than the
yeah.
sides and the front. So you
Yeah.
have to take almost 3 inches out of the back
Yeah,
bumper.
dude. I remember that was the first thing when my car was slammed. We're like, we got our new kits. We got our VIS kits. We put them on, drive down the street, rear bumper's just popping off every 5 feet. And we're just like, dude. And back then it was like, zip ties. We're not using bolts and
When
stuff.
was this?
This was probably 2013 or 14.
So when you were getting into it, were you looking at guys no, that was before.
I was getting into it basically 2010, 2011.
Okay. Because so
I could give you examples.
yeah, give me an example.
Matt Powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
was
the
it.
pinnacle for me.
Yeah.
I was like, that green car is
Oh, yeah.
everything.
That car was it. That
Yeah.
was the jam, man. I mean, and everyone's like, "Oh, he won because his car was so slow," and we're like, "No, man,
Dude.
it just looks so good."
Yeah, and then he was an FD with a fucking KAT and no stickers on the car, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is the most badass shit.
This is
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It was good.
Yeah, I loved it, and it was slammed, dude.
I feel like Abo Moon 2 for you when you drifted with him.
I mean, that's cool.
yeah.
His style is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
That thing has always been slammed.
The
And
whole
it's-
team is like that whole team vibe, but they're all low, and
Yeah.
of course they're Skyline, so we weren't used to that stuff.
Yeah.
But Tandem of Die was big back then.
Yeah.
And that was cool to see.
Yeah.
Those cars
Phantom
were
Dive
slammed.
Cars were.
Yeah.
Those guys were. They were out there. Yeah. But dude, I remember going out to. So we used to do drift days and stuff out here
Okay.
at Fontana, and I mean, seeing.
You mentioned Fontana.
Well,
and you also, you're going into drifting. I totally forgot to ask if you've ever drifted.
Yeah, he does. He has
Yeah.
drifted this thing.
Yeah.
I did. Which were called. I did Thunderhill West in the car, which was. You can kill yourself on
That's
that.
that is a circuit.
Yeah. This thing it's so fast.
Yeah, dude.
And I raised it up and I gave it a little more tire.
Okay.
And that was terrifying. I was like, I should have kept it low and kept it on skinnier tires.
Yeah, it would've slowed you down.
Slow the heck
Yeah.
down. And it was so hot that the fender, it was like the fenders were soft. It was so hot out there.
Yeah.
But I want to take it out to Grange since they've redone it.
Yeah.
That's where we're actually going tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we're going out there tomorrow.
I'll let you know
for
how
one
it
of the
is.
events.
Yeah, I got to go with a buddy of mine. I went out. He dragged me out there. He's like, "You gotta go. Just come to check out the track."
It's a fun time.
And because the last time I drove on it, it was garbage. It was missing 6 feet of the track. And
Width-wise, you mean?
no, like in the middle of the track,
It was just gone?
It was gone. The
Okay.
water.
So this was a while ago, probably.
Yeah, it was a while ago, and there was rain, and it literally washed out. Like there's like there's like the infield, and there's come down, and there's like the corkscrew, and right before you go up, and it like just a whole section was gone. And we buddies from NorCal came down. They rented the track.
We heard that the renting situation is actually pretty sweet.
Yeah, and they're like, dude, the parts track's missing. They're like, so we need to go get. They're like, well, you can go get some Quickcrete and put it down.
Oh,
So that's what we did. They did.
That's funny.
We spent everyone was
Spent
pissed.
half the day repairing the track.
I'm just picturing like
There was that
like,
old,
fuck,
there used
what
to
do
be
we
like
do?
this old leather man that would stay out there and he'd be like, God damn, you want to fix it.
Or you can run it like
or,
this.
or I have to run it by the owner of the track.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, oh yeah, it's okay if you guys want to fix it.
Yeah.
Like, thanks.
Kind of wild to
What
me
year do you
because
think
it's-
that was?
That was probably 4 years ago.
4
Or
years
five,
ago.
5 years ago.
Okay, so that's probably right before Super D, the Super D
Yeah,
event,
it was
right?
before Super D.
Okay.
Yeah, Super D. Yeah.
Yeah, because it seemed like that was when the track kind of took off.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Frankie drove that,
I got to drive.
which I think is still
I got to
crazy.
drive Super D. for
That's
a bit,
awesome.
But then my trans blew up, but
See,
I
I-
got some laps in.
I've never been a proficient enough driver. Or maybe I just haven't spent. I haven't spent enough time doing it.
You also have a slammed car with 500 horsepower, so it's not like
Drifting
But
with
before
thunder.
that, I mean, I
Yeah.
could have taken. There was a lot of opportunities. I could have taken time to either take a lower horsepower car. Actually, there's a little track over here
yeah.
called Adams.
Okay.
It's
Adams
a tiny
Motorsports
little
Park?
Yeah,
You heard of
and
it?
I think so.
and that Miata over there, I might take out there. Just they do Saturday nights.
Yeah, mess around.
And mess around, and maybe I'd like to, definitely drive a little bit more.
Dude, I love those night drifts, like night drift sessions
Mm.
at tracks. Like we used to have night moves at Club Loose
Mm.
on Wednesday nights. That was so cool. Now they have
Friday
night drift
Friday
party.
night drift party, and sometimes that's rare. It's
It'll
like a
ne- dude,
last
it'll
minute
never
thing.
be the same though as the Wednesday night.
No,
ones.
it will not,
Yeah.
because now the issue that we're having in New Jersey is that a lot of people are complaining about the noise.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
I mean they've always complained
they're
about
closing
it.
the
but-
track.
Exactly.
Fontana. They're closing Fontana. They're
Damn.
running the last event, NASCAR event out here, and that's been there.
Oh, that's what. Is that what someone was talking about yesterday when we were there? The NASCAR event.
I think one.
You weren't there. It was at Korean barbecue with Mike and
there's
Seb.
that. Frankie mentioned Fontana when we were
Well,
here.
I was
because
talking about Fontana Nissan.
Fontana
because
Yeah.
Nissan.
I know people over
You gotta
there.
buy parts from them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was telling Carl, I was like, that was the spot where you would get parts.
That was it.
Yeah.
They had Kazama and
Yeah.
they were Cusco and
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
back, I mean, I was in high school and I'd walk into there and just be like,
Yeah.
And they had, I don't remember, I remember the guy looking up parts on the microfishes.
Yeah,
for
oh shit!
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had the microfishes.
That was before me because I was a parts guy in 2012ish and
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So I didn't
You
get to
missed it.
experience that. Yeah, but I heard stories.
Yeah.
From my managers and stuff.
What is that for
That was-
those of you who are listening?
I'll let you explain it.
It's like a bunch of it's all this documentation like you'd have like a book, but it's on like one screen and all the part numbers. So it's tiny, and you put it in this machine, and you can scroll,
And that's how you would
and
search
you
for
search
parts.
for part numbers.
Because
Christ.
there wasn't a computer system.
And those are what you want now to find out all the part
yeah.
numbers and stuff.
Well, actually, the current Nissan setup that they're using in the U.S., you can see everything.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually good. It happened right when I left, and I was like, oh yeah, now they do this.
No.
And then,
I'm amazed because I'm just trying to picture. There was a Honda dealership by me somewhere in upstate New York that was the same way with Hondas though. Like you walk in and there's
There's had everything.
Mugen this, Mugen that, and
Yeah.
that's not something that you see in a dealership, at least in our area. I
You
feel
know
like it's
what
a lot
it
of
is?
consumer like
it's the
standard
people.
appliance.
It's the people working there, and it's the management. Because usually what happens is like you'll have someone like me that's passionate, and it's like, oh, we can, let me get parts from Nismo. Let me do this. And then you run into the problem where, is the manager going to let you do that?
Yeah.
He either is or he's not. And then you'll run into certain situations like the Nissan dealership up in Washington, maybe, Portland, somewhere up there. But they're blowing up because management let them sell JDM parts. So now they got like crazy followers on Instagram and stuff. And
they put a lot of time into it.
Exactly, yeah.
It takes a lot of work. I mean, it's just crazy though. Like a lot of times you go into a Nissan store, most normal stores, and they just were like, "What year is it?"
Yeah. And then you give them all the information, and then they'll question you. It's like going to Pep Boys.
They're like, "Oh, well, that number's been superseded." Okay, what's the superseded number?
Yeah. Okay. So what is it? Can you get it? No. Okay. Bye. Like when we call Nissan like every day at the shop, and I usually, me and Malcolm usually have part numbers for them. We try to just, because I explained everything to Malcolm. I'm like, dude, this isn't what you think it is. It's just pretend you're calling Pep Boys, because it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Because we're not looking for like control arms for a Rogue. We're looking for something that they don't even know what it is. You know. So it's like, get the part numbers, do your research before you even call, and then call, tell them what you need, and they'll tell you if they can get it or if they can't.
Well,
and I just ruined my business by saying that.
God damn it.
Well, I ran into like some Nissan part numbers now pick up not in Nissan, but into, you call it an Affinity department.
That too, yeah.
Huh.
Or you call Faction Motorsports. We got everything in stock.
There you go. Self-plug. Shameless plug there.
But that's what we've been doing lately, because we're just like, people keep calling. They want this and that. I'm like, let's just stock all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, it's little stuff here and there because we use it.
Yeah.
Every time we'll be putting together a car and we're just like, I want new bushings for this. I don't want to put this old crusty bushing back on this freshly painted engine bay.
Yeah, and what I do like is that you guys get a lot of hardware too.
Yeah,
hardware specific to each application.
Yeah, like we'll keep the bolts and stuff in stock. That way,
it's nice.
Like nothing's more satisfying than that, man. You put a new nut or a bolt set on like your fenders, and then you can see like all of them are nice and shiny.
Yeah, no, it's true.
When technically they're supposed to be painted, I think.
Well, it depends on the
the factory.
Yeah, sometimes you got them and they put seam sealer over.
Yeah,
they like brushed, like lightly brushed.
Yeah,
like the guy was like,
like the hood hinge bolts on the Nissans, and then you're like, fuck, I gotta take this off.
Yeah,
and like
you
it's
go
all
to break it
sealed
loose
and everything.
and
but
rips.
it's just so weird because like I just love the little nuances of where you look at and you're like, when you you get into a car, you get into an FS chassis and you're like, what were these guys doing with the seam sealer?
Yeah.
And they're like, it's like,
yes, dude.
And then there's like a brush mark, and a skip, and a blob, and you're like, what? And then they're like, oh, there's weights on the firewall for anti-vibration. And then you look like this car had a bunch of weights. It was this is a 93. And it was a end of production 93.
Okay.
And it had weights on the exhaust in the back.
I've seen that before.
It had two sets of weights. It had weights on the subframe. It had weights on the firewall.
Weights on the subframe, I've seen that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the square
this is
ones.
all news to me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and there's just like tons of,
the seam seal is a hit or miss, man. You can open some of these engine bays and you'll never notice. And then sometimes you'll open one and you'll be like, what the fuck was going on? Like, you're just like, how drunk was this dude?
This was like,
Wax's car, the black. We have a black coupe at the shop. His car is a good example, because I was like, we were so confused. This was probably the first car we saw with the crazy seam sealer, and we're like looking at the wheel well, and I'm like, was this car like repaired or something? And then I was like, dude, no repair shop is doing this.
I'm telling you, I had a 14, and there's like they do like the spray coating.
Yeah, like some type of undercoat stuff.
This 14 had none under the front.
Wow.
Of the car. It just was missing it completely.
Was it painted though?
It was kind of, it just oversprayed.
Yeah.
Nothing.
What the fuck?
And it was just, luckily it happened to be a California car. So it wasn't too bad. But like, it was like, dude, this car, it was just weird. It was another thing. It was an SE 4-lug.
Oh.
Non-sunroof SE.
That was a mess up car.
That was like a sample.
I have no
That's a
idea
Friday
what
car.
it was. It was off the VIN. It read as a SE.
You know what? So we were. You would think this is like an old car thing, right? We had a 2023 Subaru WRX come in the shop, and I was in the process of like figuring out what kind of undercoating I want to do for this build. Like, did I want to use some kind of new truck liner setup that people are doing, this and that. So I was like, oh, let me go look at this WRX. I want to see what they're doing. So I go under the car.
It's just carpet.
Dude. Well, yes, in the back, like there'll be like carpet liner and
like
stuff.
carpet.
Yeah, to help with sound. But then I'm like looking around and I'm like, okay, it's undercoated. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, why is it they're overspray on everything? And it's black. It's not painted over.
Yeah.
It's black undercoat. I go to the front of the car. There's overspray on the strut, on the brake lines.
Really?
On everything.
And
I call the customer. I'm like, you got this car undercoated, right? After you bought it? He's like, no, I just bought it.
It's brand new.
Brand new car. And it's like a shit job, dude. Horrible.
Damn.
Yeah.
Very weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, it's interesting because
Some
you would think
off
it would.
stuff like that.
You'd think it'd be getting better, you know. But
When I was I was at Nissan and the first Quest vans were coming, and Nissan was forgetting to put a lot of things on. But the biggest thing was, so like, you know, you have, so inside the roof you have like braces that go across.
yeah.
And they're supposed to be like an insulate. They put like
To
a steam
stop
sealer,
vibrating or
so it doesn't vibrate. They would just forget, and it would sound like a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
And they would literally
highway.
come. And you had to pull the whole. They would pull
The headliner,
They'd have to pull the whole interior out because
Dude.
all this has to come out. So they
drop.
drop the
Yeah.
headliner, and then come back in, and then the Skylines, the early Skylines, they had a bunch of seam sealing you had to do.
oh wow.
When
Is
they
this
were
like
delivered.
a TSV that would come out?
Yeah,
Like
a TSB. Yeah, probably.
TSB or something.
Or TSB,
before
not TSV.
before the car would even be sold
Yeah.
or after. Like before. Yeah.
Right, where they literally, they're like, these are coming with this issue.
Yeah. Fix it.
Like it's on the boat
Tighten-
already.
yeah.
Like, oh, sorry.
I mean, the good thing is that a dealership you
'Cause they
get
were-
paid to do that. So you know,
Yeah,
Nissan's gonna
no one
pay.
gave it. No one gave it. But they were selling these brand new.
Yeah.
Those Quest fans were horrendous.
you need to definitely make sure that that undercoating thing that Frankie's talking about, like you got to show him, because I feel like you guys have so much attention to detail.
Like
in
the
that
one we
aspect.
just did.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know Jimmy Oakes. He's a YouTuber, but I was in the process of, like I said, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with this car because we redid the whole engine bay, and like I go down under the wheel well and I was like, I got to redo this shit. It's like filthy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I got, you know, I start diving into the 3M catalog, and I'm like, all right, what kind of undercoating could I use? I want it to be like factory, but I don't want it to be hard to clean, this and that. Do I just want to paint it, you know? And then I was gonna go with the 3M stuff,
Right.
the quote unquote rubberized stuff,
Yeah.
or the what they call it, scuts, something like that. Yeah. So I got the gun, everything like that. I'm like, all right, we'll just do this. But the whole time I was like, I'm not excited to have a rubber undercoat under there, mostly because of cleaning it.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, man.
Yeah.
So like you get some dirt on there and it's just like no
Not
matter
coming
what.
off.
Yeah.
It's
not
always
coming
going to
off.
look dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean what the factory does is they'll scuts that area and then they'll paint the car.
Right.
So if you look under most wheel wells, at least older cars, it'll be paint matched.
Yeah.
So that's technically what the factory does. So we're trying to think of something that's, you know, kind of factory-ish, but, you know, not that. So I'm going back and forth with it. We go up to Jimmy Oakes' shop. He's just showing us a tour of all the cars. He basically builds cars for YouTube,
Yeah.
which is insane.
Yeah.
But,
Nuts.
yeah, but that's basically what he's doing. So he'll put a car together, he'll make videos on it, and then
Yeah.
they'll get paid from YouTube.
I actually think I watched that where you guys went to his.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So so while I'm walking around, he's showing us all the cars, and I'm just staring at the interiors. I'm like, what is this setup he's running in here? So he's using Raptor liner, so it's like a truck bed thing.
Yeah.
So right away, my brain is like, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
like bed liner. I'm not putting
Yeah.
that on a car. But then I start doing research, and I'm like, damn, dude, there's some classic car guys that are doing.
They're
this
really
shit.
into it.
Yeah. And I
American
was like,
guys, that's like a staple
yeah.
on the builds now.
I was never aware of that. So I was like, okay. I started seeing that. I started seeing people doing the whole underside of the car in it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It's a customer of ours, Anthony, and he was down with it. He's like, let's try it out. Tried it out, and I don't think I'll ever go back.
It
like,
looks awesome.
Yeah.
It's, number one, it's strong.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a beating. Two, it's hard. So you can literally spray that down,
Yeah.
you know, and wash it.
Totally power wash it and make it look brand new.
It's super interesting.
Yeah.
And you can paint it. You can mix paint in with it.
Yeah. Color it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm working on a Nova project for someone, and it's being built at another shop, and that's where we're actually going to color match the
Oh, you are doing that?
the undercoating, the I don't know if we're doing Raptor. I can't remember what.
Yeah, there's
brand we're
probably a
doing.
bunch of them,
Yeah,
right?
there's a place locally that does
Okay.
that sells it.
I know Line-X was always the one for the
Yeah.
trucks.
Yeah, so we're doing that. We're going to do a color matched.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think that I'm going to do that with
For
my
sure.
interior.
If I'm doing a car now, and it's going to be, I'm going to have the chance to do the whole underside.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same
Absolutely.
thing. So
I
we
would
did the
totally.
front of his car, and then he came and looked at it. He's like, I need all new suspension components, man. You can't. He's like, you can't be
the
putting
rest-
on this rusty ass shit.
Because the rest
now."
of it is going to look worse.
Yeah.
That's
The only thing that I was talking to the guys that are going to do it at that shop, they just don't like when you have to go back and do a repair.
Explain that a little bit, because I was thinking about that.
Because it's not like something you can just spot.
You can't.
Like, especially if it's colored.
yeah,
but like-
that's a nightmare.
But like, it doesn't like to stick over it.
Oh,
So
hard
like,
to blend.
they're like, okay, let's say you came in, you did a quarter panel job, you need to take off all like
of that area where
all
you're
the
gonna,
seams up to the seams. You take it, you have to strip it, and it's definitely harder to strip.
So it doesn't like to stick on top of itself.
Yeah, and then they're like, you want to make sure you don't put it over bare metal.
Yeah.
So then you need to paint it.
Yeah, we self-etched everything before
Yeah.
we did that.
You probably want to do some sort of 2K over it.
Yeah.
Because self etch will still rust.
I forget what we did. I know I did a self-etch, and I know we seam sealed some stuff before. I even pour 15 some stuff before we
Yeah.
did it, just because there was like 2 areas where I was a little worried about it. And I was like, we're not cutting all this out. And it wasn't really rot. It was just like, you could barely see a little bit of rust.
little brown dots.
So grind that, prep that the way pour 15 wants it done,
Yeah.
which is a whole process, and then do it that way, and then undercoat everything. But yeah,
You might want to talk to someone about it, but I'm trying to remember, but I know sometimes they like to stick over a painted surface.
yeah.
Like not like a
Most of
paint.
yeah, very few areas were taken down to
Okay.
that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, I actually didn't do a lot of prep under there
Hmm.
because I didn't want to grind everything to
Right,
metal.
right.
Yeah. So I was like, we're going to do this and we're going to see what happens because I'm not going down
So
to
have
metal.
you done it?
Yeah, we did it on this
Oh,
one car.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I
thought
could
some
probably
reason-
show you
yeah.
photos of it, but yeah, I'll find them here. But yeah, it was, I like how it came out.
That's like, again, like attention to detail. You thought of a problem, there's the solution. Like, I feel like that's always, it's the trial and error type of thing.
So that's
Okay,
one
that's
photo
pretty.
of it. Yeah. So I just did that whole underside.
Yeah, because like they were talking about the guys I was talking to. They're like, "Oh, we had to do the car guard rear-ended, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they needed to fix it." And then they're like, "Oh, we just stripped it all the way up to like right at the back of the floor pan,
Yeah.
essentially, and then masked it on the edges, so it looks on the sheet metal edges.
Yeah.
They painted it and then shot the.
Yeah, I would definitely paint.
Undercoating.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it over raw metal.
That looks
definitely.
great though.
Yeah, it came out good. So now we're just gonna put it to the test.
That's
See if it lasts.
That's the best when you get the car to that point.
I
and
know,
you can
yeah.
actually just, or you have a chance to build a car at that point because you're just putting it back together.
Yeah, and now you have a clean slate.
Yeah, you're not like cutting corners like we're dealing with this stuff that
Yeah.
was that way.
I mean, that's the goal. I feel like for everyone that, even in your position, like people like us that have shops, it's like we want to build cars like that. Like we don't want to be band-aiding like all these little projects.
But see, like I would love to rebuild these cars like that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a chance. I built these cars with what I had.
Yeah.
At the time, a long time.
And my personal car is basically a shit box underneath because we just use it to
I was
drift.
going to say, like, your car is probably the most worst conditioned car in that shop right now.
And now it's going to be going under probably the same treatment as
Okay,
that.
nice.
Yeah, at least the front end. because I'm gonna paint the engine bay. So I was like, well, now I got to do this. So
Yeah, what do they say? The shoemaker never has any shoes.
that's what they say. And you know what? I'm really trying not to do that.
No. And it's
Well-
funny because yesterday Jason said the same thing.
Yeah, he was
He's
talking
like,
about the same thing.
I'll work on a customer car and it'll be absolutely to my standard, but my own car is a
Yeah.
hunk of shit.
Yeah, he's like, I got zip ties holding that thing together. Like, and I understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just cut my, like, I just recently started touching my cars again. Like I like the last 4 years or whatever. Whatever. I just was like, I can't touch my
Probably focusing on the business
just
too.
all the business.
I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of in the same boat.
You know,
I
and
was
that's
gonna
what it
say,
takes.
I haven't touched my cars in 3 years.
That's what it takes, and that's absolutely what it takes.
Yeah.
Do you
And-
have any other struggles like with your
Everything.
business?
Everything.
All of it,
All of it. Like I feel like
everything.
it's sacrifice. Like
all
something had to be sacrificed because
But it's
I didn't even know that you had both of these cars off of just going on your Instagram.
yeah.
And
I'm really bad at integrating, like what I do. Like I just do things and I just don't think about like documenting it.
Yeah. It's
whatever. Like I mean, like back in. I mean, I was peeling through an old hard drive of mine with back when I was building stuff and thinking about posting it on Zilvia.
Yeah,
and,
that's what I see. Like, I still got a build thread on Zilvia
yeah.
too.
I never.
You never made one?
I never could get it. I never could get it right. I never felt like my stuff would be up good enough to be put onto Zilvia.
yeah.
And
Mine was like a diary. It was
Oh,
like, okay,
interesting.
so we did this week or something, you know what I mean? And like, okay, so then this happened.
yeah,
But I fell off too. I stopped doing it.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. The Zilvia was great. I mean, I think I have like 8 posts on Zilvia.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
I've been
You're
member,
a lurker.
I've been a member since like 2003.
Yeah. Damn, that's
Bruh.
fucking crazy. That's crazy.
I was literally 8.
Yeah. I
That
wonder
was in
when
high school.
I'm probably a member since 09 or 10. Like
Yeah.
that's as far back as I'm gonna get. But are those? Do you know those guys who made that?
The Zilvia?
Yeah.
No, I don't know them.
Yeah, because I think they might be from California.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think they're from. Yeah,
They
there's
made-
a lot. There's a lot going around here.
Yeah.
A lot of people that I mean, some key figures in the development of that scene.
Yeah. I'm in a Zilvia Facebook group. And it's
Really?
like, it's like a Zilvia revival type Facebook
No
group.
kidding.
Yeah. I got to get you on Facebook
Yeah,
if you have it.
I'll
and,
check it
and
out.
I'll add you to it. But yeah,
Nice.
it's cool because you'll see some guys in there, like they'll bring some stuff up from the past, or they'll, like today, someone was like, yeah, I'm trying to get a car meet together with like some of us and this and that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I got to check that out later and see what they're talking
That's
about.
cool.
But
And-
yeah, I remember like, just to keep it on the Zilvia thing, I remember like when we got ads on Zilvia for the first time.
I
And this
remember.
was like way late. Like people weren't even using Zilvia, but I was like, I'm putting ads on Zilvia because I just need to see them on there.
Yeah, that's so cool.
You know what I mean? 'Cause you'd see like the VIS shit and stuff. When you're on
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Oh, there was Race On USA, and there was so many other shops. There's so much parts.
Yeah, and like
Catboy Garage.
wheel shops and stuff. Yeah, dude, that was a whole nother time.
A whole nother. But like, yeah, it's interesting because like my first 13 that I was building somehow ended up on there, and I guess there's threads and stuff. I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
even bothered looking, but I've never posted on.
Yeah, so someone else.
Somebody
threw it up.
else did it for you.
My guess is you might have seen it already.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said earlier, I
It's
saw your
crazy.
car in that Super Street magazine. That was I mean, you can't really forget that hood.
People hate that.
Oh, I could see how. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
I don't know.
Do you hate it? That's the question.
You know, I feel like I could do a lot better job.
Okay. Yeah.
I did try doing it the correct way, which is where you actually
the
remove the
metal.
skin.
Yeah.
But literally, the place I took it to punched 3 dies, and since it was so thin, it just turned into potato chip.
Yeah. Not
And
to
the
mention,
hood-
that sounds like some kind of weird torture to put yourself through.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well,
oh
what
my
you do
God.
is you essentially, you remove the skin
Yeah.
and then re-put the skin back on the frame once you're done.
But
That's
Holy
how
shit,
all
dude.
those old school louvered panels you see. That's how it's done. They
Remove the skin.
They remove the skin. They don't take the panel and then weld it in
Yeah.
because
You still want the skeleton underneath and everything,
Right,
so you
and
take
then
the skin off and then.
it just looks. Most guys would just give you shit.
Yeah,
for
it's gonna look like shit. Yeah, because you just
on
weld
the
it in
back
there.
side. When you look at the back side, it's gonna be all welded and stuff.
Yeah.
And then if you're welding near the louvers, you're gonna screw them up because of the heat.
But then, of course, dealing with a Nissan, you got that thin metal.
It's so thin. It's so thin, and it's not consistent.
Yeah.
The guy was running a gauge. He had this gauge, and he's like, "Oh, it's rolling out
Oh my
the
God.
100th on thickness of this sheet metal."
We never tried that at the shop. I know Ethan that does fab work for us is always like, this metal is so fucking thin.
It's so
always
bad.
blowing holes
You're
through it.
like, "Oh, dude, I got the welder set up. Great."
Yep.
Your stitch welding. I hate what stitch welding in a car. You're like, awesome.
Right there.
Blah. You're like, what happened?
Yeah.
Am I just
But now, I mean, after getting that guy to gauge it, I mean,
it makes sense.
yeah,
I mean,
it's just shitty metal
these
for some
cars
reason.
these cars were just another day of the week.
Yeah.
That's all this was. And it's just like you talk to, was a kid and I used to sit around, I was lucky enough to hang out in shops, and the guys that built American hot rods and stuff. And it's now we're sounding like those guys now.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It just goes around and around.
Yeah. And I feel like that's why these podcasts are so like, I mean, like people are listening to them because they want to hear these stories and like how we went through things and found different ways to work on these cars.
I would love to be able to share stuff with people
Yeah.
more. I mean, that's what I admire what you guys do and all these podcasters. I really would love to
Well, I'll tell
YouTube
you
and-
something right now. It's not hard.
If we can do it,
Yeah.
you guys can too.
Yeah.
It's
See, I'm
But-
guy.
Yeah.
people have done that though.
Yeah, I know.
There are podcasters
you
that
watch,
do that.
Adam Savage
I know
from
of him.
Mythbusters.
Yeah, I know of him.
That's
You
how-
want to feel insignificant. You watch him because he's busy. He'll be running a Bridgeport and he'll be knocking out a Hellboy's gun, like just running 2
That's
3
crazy.
machines and filming himself. And I go to
Does he do like podcasts or is it like YouTube type?
He does some podcasts,
Yeah,
but then he makes he has like a crew, like he does different things, but he does this it's called like a 1-day build, but it's
Okay.
kind of a joke now because nothing takes 1 day.
Yeah.
But it's just him
Okay.
usually in the shop taking on a task, none of his other.
And he's building like crazy shit, I guess.
He builds like mock props or whatever.
Okay.
He just is like, I'm going to build a spacesuit.
Yeah.
And it's like it's wild.
And I'm thinking about that comedian. What's his name? Pretty popular comedian. Bill Burr, maybe? I think he's doing a podcast by himself.
But I know one thing I know about myself is I'm single. I can only single task
Yeah.
because
you
I
wanna
have the
apply
worst.
yourself.
No, that's fine. I don't expect you to be doing a
no.
podcast
Yeah.
while you're. Fuck that. Like trying to work on something and talk to people. Fuck
know.
that.
I
Even
know.
YouTube, dude.
That's crazy.
I hate. I'm not gonna say I hate YouTube because we love you, YouTube. But
Canceled.
dude. Doing that shit, vlogging. I remember coming here. Like when we got here, I was like, Carl, I'm not vlogging. I will film you, or you can film me. I am not doing.
But
Yeah,
somebody
that's-
has to
shit.
say it.
Like-
Somebody has to say it. Like we need to. Unfortunately, and
Yeah,
I
it's-
want to pick your brain about the importance of social media for the growth of your business, but I think that's what you need to do to remain
Relevant.
relevant.
Yeah.
nowadays.
Absolutely.
There's a fine line though where I'm willing to go. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll like I said, we talked about Malcolm. Malcolm does a lot of the camera stuff at the shop. He'll film stuff. Sometimes, like before Malcolm, we did not do YouTube.
yeah.
That was not even a thing.
See, for me, I don't think I just want to focus on getting better at Instagram.
Yeah, which is good. You should be doing
Yeah.
it. I mean, I'll tell you the secret right now. It's Reels. That's pretty much
Yeah,
it.
I can't even wrap
Which
my
is
head
annoying.
around it.
Yeah.
Can't even wrap my head around it.
Yeah. Whatever they're putting out, like whatever their new thing is, that's the secret.
But
You
I
have to
feel
use
like
that.
I feel like I don't know why, but the novelty of older things is becoming popular again.
I can give you advice
Like a
right
magazine.
now that I think would work.
Yeah.
You do something on your car or even one of your products, just explain how you're installing it and everything. You know, because remember Kay from Super Life?
Super Life.
He's got crazy.
Because reels can be
I'm
like
gonna show
a
you
minute
his
long
reels
now,
before-
Yeah.
or more or something.
Cause that'd be great. Cause I'm just totally.
Yeah, no, it's very simple.
And it's
like,
an afterthought. You can voice over it too.
Yeah.
Like you're like,
see that.
let's say you're lowering the suspension of the rear of your car, which I don't think you can
don't know if I
honestly
can do that
anymore. But let's say you were and
Right.
you just put it in one spot and you're lowering it and it's like a time lapse and you just kind of explain it.
you explain why you're doing something.
Yeah,
Even if you
there's
explain
different-
the axle thing, like you just
Yeah.
did us, would be. And I'll show you what he does because we haven't really done anything like that either yet.
No, because I
But-
know you would hate the sound of your own voice.
No,
That's,
it's not that. It's
I
really
can't, me
like
too.
it's not that. It's the act of filming everything that's just so like tedious.
Some people just have a knack
Yeah.
for it, dude.
Like, and I'm guilty of like when I work on something,
Oh my god, I know what you're gonna say.
I just want to shut everything off
yeah,
and work on it.
and just get it done.
and just it's like I've spent all week working on stuff, and if I actually get 20 minutes
Yeah.
to do something,
That's why when people talk shit about YouTube people, I'm like, guys, you don't understand
they
how
have no,
hard this is.
Yeah,
they have no life after.
Yeah.
And I find it hard to believe, and I like seeing
Like-
when they do other stuff, like they give themselves a break. Because I'm telling you, making a 10-minute video about
Oh yeah,
something
editing it.
will
We're not even
take you
talking about editing
hours.
it. Yeah, but like take Adam LZ for example. Like when he started, he would probably do something to his car. So now he's gotta film every angle. And you'll notice sometimes when they film this stuff, they'll move the camera somewhere else and they'll do something, and you're like, you know, that dude had to move that camera over there for no reason other than to just film him doing this twice just to show the camera or some weird shit like that.
That's a lot.
And it's like, dude, like you're
I'm
adding so
watching
much
it-
more time to the project.
I think it's important to make sure that you're providing sustenance in your video. I don't like when people record a video just to record a video.
Yeah.
And it applies differently because I feel like if you're enjoying something and it's like a different type of vlog, like earlier we were driving around and I'm geeking borderline on the verge of tears because I'm just so happy to be driving on the Pacific Coast Highway or something like that.
Yeah.
And
For
we're not
sure.
recording or anything. And then afterwards, I'm like, damn, we should have recorded that. And then I say right away, I said something like, it's fine. We got to enjoy the moment
Yeah,
right then
yeah.
and there.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's
what's like,
hard to do now.
yeah, like this whole, like I was gonna film a whole bunch more, like when I was in Japan and stuff, and I'm like, I can't enjoy
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But see, my head is still, I want to say, not if it's like digital and analog. Mine is very analog.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have a hard time understanding like why would anyone want to see this?
I totally understand what you're saying because I have the same exact thought on certain things, such as our friend Josh, that for a while his business was opening Pokemon cards and streaming it.
Wow.
And he made money doing this.
A lot.
So that's where my mind was like, I can't understand this, but I see what is happening. So I'm going to accept it. That's basically where I'm at with
Right.
that stuff.
Well,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? But like some of it, we're just not going to understand it.
Yeah.
Like it's so weird.
I have a feeling. And
Like I'm sorry.
No,
I just got to get this out because I'm going to forget
No,
it.
go,
'cause-
go, please.
But like I'm still trying to turn the page, adding more of the shop into my Instagram.
Yeah.
Like just posts,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
even
yeah.
reels, nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's hard for me. And then it's like photographing things, and
Yeah.
it's like
I hope that one day when you're comfortable and able,
Yeah.
that you can get yourself a Malcolm.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I
of
will tell
course.
you,
That will
I
help.
would love to.
Yeah,
I
that will
tell
help.
Frankie this all the time because as you just heard, not a big fan of doing the YouTube thing by himself, but without Malcolm, somebody who's affluent in those kinds of things and able to edit
And he's pretty passionate
and he
about
has a
it.
passion for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's everything.
Without that,
Yeah.
Without the
we would
passion.
be no YouTube, no podcast,
Yeah.
no Instagram.
Like I don't
posts.
stay on top of him. Like I know he's checking it. I know he's
Wow.
looking at everything, and he's into that aspect of our business, and I'm into more of like the selling the parts and making sure that's all going on. And he's really into like the marketing side of YouTube. He's like, oh, see, like we're getting, people like that type of video. So I'm going to do this.
That's
Oh, yeah.
awesome.
You need a Malcolm.
Yeah.
Kyle. I
Well,
think
like,
you need a
And it'll
you know,
come.
I look at every day as $1. You know,
Yeah,
if you look
yes,
at it, you
yeah.
have four, you got to divvy up that
Yeah.
dollar through the day. You can't spend any more than that.
Yeah.
$1. And I hit over $1 in the first 2 hours of the
Yeah.
shop open. And I'm like, oh my God, or like,
Yeah.
there's stuff to do with the taxes.
Yep.
I mean, insurance and,
When did you like
Plumbing.
officially start your business?
what was it, 4 or 5?
Was this after you moved out of your other shop, or was that the beginning?
So my very first shop was like the 800 square foot one.
Okay.
I was not a business yet. When I moved to the 1,700 square foot shop, that's
Yeah.
when I was like, okay,
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna do this. And I had worked for other people, and I'm just like, well, what the heck?
Yeah,
You never
give it a
try,
shot.
you never
Give
know.
it a shot. Yeah.
It's it's
I mean, everyone's on
Scary.
like a different path.
yeah.
yeah.
And it's interesting to see your path because it's much different than mine. It's like your path is more like you have a building.
That's what I was gonna say.
You know what
Would
I
you
mean?
have ever anticipated that
Never.
this is where you
Never ever in my wildest dreams would I ever.
Yeah.
Never.
But you
ever.
made it happen. So, you put your effort into this aspect of the business and you made it happen.
Yeah, and it's definitely putting this as a priority has definitely been hard because I've had to watch the business suffer
Yes.
a lot.
Yeah.
And which is like, and basically I'm back to zero.
Yeah.
I feel like now I'm literally.
The only thing that's good is that you
But
know
now
where
I
your
know-
your home base is.
I now know where I'm going to be at for the rest
Yes.
of my career.
Yeah. Like that's
Which was where I was at. It was like you never knew if next month was because they wouldn't let you sign a lease.
yeah.
I also wanted to harp on that because a lot of our listeners are from the East Coast, and they don't have. I feel like we don't have that same issue.
We definitely don't. I've never heard of like
of
what
somebody
you're talking
who's like,
about.
yeah, it's almost like
Where they're, like,
they're
hunting
going to the
for
highest
space.
bidder.
We're just
Yeah.
running out because like unless you go out into the boonies or
Yeah,
somewhere, it's definitely harder. But then finding a building or finding something.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm also not I'm not hunting for property right
Yeah.
now. We're renting. So
Yeah.
it could be going on by I mean, how could it not be? I mean, look
Yeah,
at our
I mean,
area.
money's
It's
money.
crazy densely populated.
Is it?
Yeah, it's insane. It's
Okay.
New Jersey's like the most
Now I'm
densely
worried
populated
that
state.
is going to happen, and I'm concerned. But you have a good relationship with your landlord.
Yeah,
So,
our
like,
landlord's awesome,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like I mean, me and Malcolm are always thinking about it. We're like,
Well, like-
where's the compound going to be?
Right.
Where are we going to move?
Well, it's something that when I moved into the 1,700 square foot shop, wasn't even a thought in my head.
Yeah.
I was just so focused on. I'm like, oh my God, I got moved in that shop, and I'm like,
and you're like, this is life changing, right?
oh, I'm still by myself, and I'm just like, how the hell am I going to make enough money to pay for this?
Yeah.
And do everything else that life has you got to do. And then 2 years into one or 2 years into renting that space, the owner died.
Oh, fuck.
Dude, I was paying 73 cents a square foot or something like 70. It was super cheap. Super cheap.
Holy
But you
fuck.
only got into the property if you knew someone.
Yeah.
My neighbor was that hot rod shop that I swept
Okay.
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I got in because I knew him. And the owner's like, okay,
Vouch
that
for him.
guy, you
Yeah.
can shake a hand, write a check, mail him a check
Yeah.
every month. And then that's when everything changed. Because then these big companies they would buy the property, keep it for 6 months, sell it, buy it. And every time, 8 months, 10 months, whatever, these companies would buy it. And then every time luckily the first people that I signed I signed a lease, but then, every time it would change, they're like, oh, you got a lease. But, my neighbors, like, they're not letting us sign leases.
That's wild.
So
so that there is no contractual bond.
They're basically getting ready to kick you out.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they want
forcing
the
you out.
They want the flexibility.
Yeah, just in case someone comes by. Hey, we're gonna give you.
And then automotive
Holy
has the worst, reputation.
That seems to be kind of normal across the board.
Yeah. And
So-
I understand it because my neighbors were terrible.
Yeah.
These guys would leave cars outside and have dogs wandering around biting people.
Yeah, mosquitoes and oil and yeah.
I always kept my stuff in the shop, and I like to work.
That was our landlord's thought too. Like,
Yeah.
okay, no, we don't want like a gas station. I was like, you're not getting a gas station shop. Don't worry. And like,
Yeah.
but
But it's one thing to talk it, and
then yeah,
so luckily you got a nice landlord that trusted you
Exactly.
and gave you a chance, and because everything within this process of this building has been, they throw you at the worst end of the pit.
and I mean,
you know.
California in general always seems to be very hard on small
A
businesses.
lot of rules.
Yeah, as far as like all the things you got to follow.
and then building permits.
Yeah.
And I mean, my God, it just,
yeah,
but just to be at this, it's just to be sitting here talking with you guys in this building is like,
This is your pride and joy right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
In my opinion, if this was, look at this place.
yeah. It's
It's
pretty
definitely
awesome, man.
one of the most unique shop because I think it's mainly because I see that is an interior door.
yes.
And then there's a car right next to me. And that looks like if I walked through there would be a dining room set in there.
yeah.
But
Like it could be a
because
house.
it's finished.
Yeah.
Like,
I just wanted it to be a nice
yeah,
space.
it's like it was your vision that you made reality, and that's why I had to ask the question if you ever thought that you would be here.
Never.
And it's so nice though because it's like you put all this work into something, then you're not going to lose it. Like we put so much work into our shop, and we're going to.
That's
lose it.
where I was at. I had
Yeah.
everything in my shop, and just where you guys are at, and I'm like, oh my God, and just like thinking long term, and I remember talking to my dad, and it's just like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like obviously, it's not becoming more. Like we're watching some of the like Gibson exhausts and like all these really big players getting just told like leaving the state.
Yeah, I was gonna say leaving the state seems to
Or-
be a big thing.
Or whatever, or just getting their asked out. Like I think Gibson, like I don't know what happened with them. They were over here, and I think they weren't.
And it's happening across the board
It's
too.
it's
Like,
all across. And then
motorcycle companies and everything in California. Everyone's leaving because they have no options.
How am I going to sell or do any of this? It's not serious enough to keep a rent. To I don't know. I don't know how to
Yeah,
word
yeah,
this,
yeah.
but it's going to be harder to find a place to do business. And I looked. I mean, for like 2 years, I looked for another place to lease
Yeah.
because also I was looking at I wanted a place that fit my business better because the place I was at was essentially just a giant garage with a 200 square foot office.
Okay. Yeah.
And it just
That's basically what we have.
I was gonna say you just described Factory
Yeah,
Motorsports.
that's basically our shop.
yeah. And they didn't want to, why am I going to build out anything or add anything
Yeah.
to this? And it just was, the area was not good. I was, not in a great area.
Yeah.
And I was always looking, spending
This
my
is
whole
like-
weekends.
I
This
know.
is like a dream to
I'm
me.
looking at this, and
This is the only thing I would change. I need higher ceilings in the garage.
that's what he said
That's-
immediately.
That'd be it.
That was literally like, yeah.
Well, and I
I-
guess
I-
we probably need more room, but
You do, but
Slightly.
when I look at this in here, and you just said you were looking for a space that fits you better. You mentioned that you wanted to make. I'm just going to use where we are right now because I can't wait for you guys, the watchers and the listeners, to if you ever make it over here and you get to this point where you get to execute the idea that you have. I look at this and you wanted to make this like your catalog. room.
Yeah. Yeah, people
Like
can come
this wall
here.
right here. I'm picturing like
Retail.
a Pep Boys like
Yeah.
porch shelf, like random fuck. Why the fuck is there a cat back on the wall?
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
like that kind of deal. And like, it's just
maybe
like,
even a couch somewhere.
yeah,
a
like
little thing.
it's just
Yeah.
your possibilities are endless. And judging by the way that you operate, it won't do anything but surpass what everybody is going to anticipate this place is going to look like.
Yeah. When did you start remodeling this or working on this?
A little over a year.
Okay.
You did this in just a year and some change?
So I think I want to say maybe from the time of pursuing to now, it's like a year and a half.
Yeah.
But there was like 4 months where it just was negotiation.
Yeah. So you couldn't really do anything.
And then getting permits. And
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to my dad. I mean, without him and his persistence and helping me. And
That's awesome too.
yeah.
So is he in the business or
no,
Okay.
nothing.
Is he in cars?
He's in the car business.
I was going to ask, how did you get in it?
He worked for a Nissan dealer, and then
Oh, okay.
but he went from a Chevy store to a Nissan store, and now he's back at a Chevy store.
Okay.
But none of us have any business background at all,
Yeah.
Or means of this. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just like, he was like, my dad was a big supporter of me. He's like, if you're going to keep doing business, he saw what was going on
Yeah.
around me and how, was really having a hard time finding a place to lease.
Yeah.
And if I did find a place, it was in another shithole.
Yeah.
It was in a totally bad area, in an area that you're like, you're gonna spend a lot of time there. Like
You don't want to be there at night.
Like where I was at was pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
And that was okay because I had and when I moved in there, I had good neighbors.
Yeah.
And they were always there. And
So you felt a little safe.
yeah, I'm like, oh, they got my back. It was like a little community, but then everyone started leaving. And
Yeah, that's not a
yeah,
good
you're
feeling.
like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, we got razor wire on this fence
Yeah.
now.
And there's also the part where, since you are building stuff out now,
Yeah,
you're investing in your own stuff. You're investing in yourself. This is your stuff.
You're basically
It's
building another
yours.
car right now.
Yeah. This is the biggest
it's
car.
been hard
you could
for me
build.
to accept that because I still want to build cars.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
doing
yeah.
This.
Yeah.
But it's just been.
But trust me, the end result will be
It's
nice.
been. I have so much crap in my head from this building that I never wanted in there.
Yeah.
But it's weird now transitioning back to now that the building is. I still have to finish the front offices
yeah.
and all that stuff. But like,
That's my favorite part. If we could just talk on that for a moment. His office has there's no walls, it's just windows all around it. And then you got the mountain ranges in the
distance
in the distance.
God damn it. It's so fucking cool.
I walked over there
I know,
before the
it's
sun
so
went
fucking
down.
Cool.
I was like, I
And
just need to see this again.
And I'm not one to be like, oh, I want some boss shit. But your office has the most perfect come into my office.
The boss vibe.
Shit, I'm in trouble.
It's just a beautiful
Thank
a
you.
beautiful place to work because you're going to be there a lot.
Yeah.
And
So-
thank you for
Spend all
letting
my
us
time
do
here.
this here.
Yeah.
This has been a pleasure to be here. And it's rare to see a shop owner that owns the building.
I know.
That we can talk to about the building.
Yeah.
That's something that, again, in New Jersey is a lot harder than you think.
Actually, I don't
You can't
even know
find a fucking
of any.
space like this there. Good fucking luck.
I was looking the other day. The thing I do from time to time is I go on and I try to find this building that I saw this one time years ago, like 7-8 years ago now. Me and my buddy, we were looking for places to lease, and we got to this one spot I remember, and it didn't work out because of no automotive or some
Right.
bullshit. But we were looking at the spot. And the whole time I'm there, I'm just like, God, imagine we could buy this property. Because it was this big, high-ceiling warehouse, perfect shop size. It's probably double the size of ours, I would say. Maybe even more than that. And then the rest of the lot was it was a fenced-off lot, kind of like yours,
Yeah.
where it had a whole entryway and then a little parking lot area in the middle. And then the other side was another building that just
Wow.
went around it. So it was like a compound.
Yeah.
And ever since I saw that,
You're like,
I was like, that's what I want.
But that's what I mean. You don't sign it off.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely never going to sign
Don't
it
ever
off,
sign
but
it off.
it's just then I'm looking at buildings and I'm just I saw one in Hackensack, it's where I live. So it's pretty close to where we are now. And I was just like, I forgot the number. I told Malcolm what it was. I think it was like 5 million or some shit. Some
We're
crazy
talking about
number,
numbers
and
that I've never
it
heard
wasn't
of.
even that crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, let's just say this building had sat on the market for a long time.
Interesting.
And a lot of people probably wrote this place off because it didn't have the roll-up door.
Yeah.
It was very, very limited what you could do with it.
Yeah.
How would you get cars in, or was it never meant to be?
Never intended to be
Yeah.
for cars here.
But since you
Never-
bought the building, you can just do whatever you want.
Well,
As
you
long as
gotta-
it's zoned
you-
right.
As long as it's zoned, right?
a zoning, and then of course the engineering that you can put a door in.
Yeah.
I mean, that you can put,
Yeah.
putting a putting a roll-up door in a building is like going to the moon for a regular person. Because the door faces west, it's
Yeah.
got to be a wind-bearing door.
Oh my God.
There's so much engineering and so much BS.
Yeah.
And the person's going to come out, inspect your building, and go, no, oh yeah, your front wall has a crack in it. And I mean, that literally the front wall here,
Yeah.
you'll never notice, but like it was broken, had a section that was broken.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cinder block wall.
Yeah.
Wall's never going to go anywhere.
So he's like, you got to repair this.
You got to repair that.
Yeah.
First bid comes out, 15 grand.
Oh my God, bro. Like Jesus.
You can only laugh about it now, which is funny because
I laughed.
Yeah.
I
It never
couldn't-
ends.
And then you start talking to these guys, and you can't get anyone to actually come out and do the work
Yeah.
because it's not a big enough job
Oh
for
my
them.
God.
Because $15,000 wall.
Well,
is
yeah,
not
because
a
they're
big
they're
job.
they're used to
They
dealing with all
want-
these big corporations that are taking over everything now as the small
They-
businesses get kicked out.
that brick wall, and I'm literally like, oh my God, I'm freaking out on this brick wall.
And now, are
it's-
you allowed to repair this, or you have to be
We don't know.
licensed?
We don't know. There's no like black and white. We didn't know if we need to get permits to fix this.
Yeah.
Okay, it's under 6 feet, so it shouldn't need permits. I'm talking to my dad. Dad, we're gonna need to get permits, or we're gonna fix this wall, and they're gonna tell us we gotta tear it back down. He's like,
Yeah.
it's under 6 feet. Let's just go for it. I'm like, I'm
you
losing
just-
my mind. I'm talking to my neighbors behind me. Talking to the guy's daughter. Oh, and she's like, what's holding you up? I go, this brick wall in the front. And she goes, brick wall? She goes, my dad was a masonry his whole life.
Look at that.
And I'm like, no kidding. He goes, yeah, he's bored. He's retired. And I'm like, no kidding. And I'm like, yeah.
Does he wanna work?
I'm like, she's like, I think he'd probably want to do that wall if you want to do it. I'm like, yeah, sure, come on over.
Yeah.
He comes over, walks over, looks at the wall. It's like $5 grand. I'm like, just
Go
do
for
it.
Just go for it.
He comes out with this is a cinder block wall. It's full of cement.
Yeah.
He comes out with a saw, with a stone cutting blade, and a sledgehammer by himself for 4 days. And man's probably in his late 70s. And he knocks down the wall.
Made it happen,
He
man.
made it happen. And
that's a
literally-
specialist at work right there.
Yeah.
So on their property, so these two properties were connected at once.
Yeah.
And they had a fence. And they're like, yeah, we want to get rid of this fence. I'm like, let's do it. I'll pay for the fence. We'll get this all done. And it was great. And that was a blessing in disguise. Neighbor,
Yeah.
fix this wall. I mean, man, 15 grand? You kidding me?
Yeah.
But that's what, people, you just don't think
And then they
about
would have took like 2 weeks, 4 weeks.
Oh, they were like, we don't know when we can do it.
Yeah. So.
And then and then I'd call back and I'm like, when could, trying to like, I'd talk to other guys, and then I got a bid for like 10 grand, and it's like, oh my God, this is
I think that was a blessing.
it was a blessing.
yeah.
I
It was like,
literally,
what am I gonna do?
Sometimes.
well,
Wait a
that
minute.
was literally holding up getting the permits signed off.
Oh wow. So, yeah. So that was before you really could even do anything else.
Before that was the guys that did the wall, the cutouts and everything.
Yeah.
They got lazy because we couldn't figure out to do that job because it was too small.
Yeah.
Because I'm just a small
Yeah, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, is that too small?
Yeah,
to
dude.
me, it's huge.
Yeah.
But to these guys are putting up the doors at Amazon.
Yeah,
they're putting
exactly.
up 45 doors a day.
Dude, it's
They're
corporations,
just-
man. They're
jeez.
killing everything.
I mean, they just look at this. They look at this job, and like, I called one door shop, and they're like, "Well, you need to source someone to cut the opening. Then you need to get a steel guy to do the steel."
It's so funny because
And
I
then-
would have blew that fucking wall out and been like, all right, so now there's a hole. So can you guys fucking...
Yeah, I'm like,
but then
thinking
you have
about
to have it
this.
all inspected.
Yeah, that's the problem.
What
Like,
if
you
it's
can't
a
do any...
load-bearing beam that you cut? Like,
Yeah, well, you'll figure that out. But like he's saying, you can't really just go ahead and do things.
No,
because-
because then all these, so many things like that. But like, it's definitely. I'm so happy it's over. I never want to put a roll-up door on anything.
So now
ever
you're
again.
more at a stage of like pretty much just making it look the way you want it to look. and-
Yeah, I mean, this has been a really hard transition.
Yeah.
For me is really getting down to like now. You want to get to this point.
Yeah.
Now I'm at this point, and I'm like, I got a lot of recuperate. I have to rebuild the business.
Yeah.
and really,
But I feel like you also need to make sure you celebrate yourself a little bit.
yeah, that's
Not
the
a lot
hardest,
of
that's the
people
hard
can
thing.
fucking go through hell even doing that.
Yeah.
Let alone like that brick wall situation. Like the
And then-
kind of anxiety and stress that has on a person, you got to make sure you congratulate yourself.
But you got to congratulate yourself by getting people here and
That's really
Yeah.
what
Celebrating it
but
with others.
yeah.
Like,
I've never been. I'm going to admit, I've never been one being good at getting a bunch of group or building a bunch of hype. So this is a whole new process of
Yeah, yeah.
having a facility like this. Because where I was at before, I could just be a hermit,
yeah.
and that's how I was. And I just literally locked myself in there, did work,
Yeah.
and I just posted Instagram just to sell stuff and
Yeah.
a little here and a little there. But like,
But now you got a business. You got a property. So
yeah,
now-
now I can grow some legs.
exactly. You're
And,
like coming out of your shell with this.
Yeah, it's definitely pushing me. This whole thing's been out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But now regarding to business, it needs to be I need to get out of my comfort zone.
That's good though.
So-
I mean, the best thing to do is obviously dress this up the way you want it, and then do an open house.
Right
No.
now, to tell you the truth, I don't have the funds to
To
dress
clean
it.
it up
So
and all, yeah.
so right now I'm just trying to make
Yeah.
some quick and dirty money.
Yeah.
it's like it's this.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
There's a
Always.
point
But,
where you're gonna plateau a little.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But,
I mean, it's always like that. We just went through. I mean, we're going through winter right now. So
Yeah.
winter is our like.
Are we?
is
It's 70
well,
degrees at
yeah,
home.
it's very
what is
weird
it
winter.
like with the
but-
seasons for your guys' business.
Automotive in general is dead in the winter
No,
usually.
I thought it would be different because people would be sitting around bored with their cars and want all the work.
That's
done.
what it should be, but for some reason it's not. What happens is no one touches their cars until it's spring.
Everyone sits
and
there.
then everyone comes at once.
Everyone finally turns off Netflix at
Yes.
spring and like they're like,
Yeah. They're like, oh shit,
Oh, I
my
wanna
car's
drive my
not done.
car.
Yeah, like what the fuck, my car's not done. Let me
See,
go
that-
call Faction, and then it's, yeah, we're booked for 2 weeks.
I
So
think it's crazy that you just asked us how the seasons affect because here it's
just heaven every day.
it's fucking beautiful every day.
but it's also
Is it a curse as well?
yeah.
You don't have off time.
Yeah,
to work on
it
your
never
car.
slows. If you're doing good at least, but then when you're doing bad, you're like, oh, there's no excuse for this.
Yep.
There's
yeah,
no
yeah,
off
yeah,
season.
Yeah, yeah. Which is true in our case too, because it could be you could use it as an excuse as well.
Yeah.
But we usually the trend is once December, basically November is like, you get a skyrocket because we always try to do some Black Friday sale or something. So we'll do that last hurrah before the end of the year. And then December comes, even December, like you'd think like, oh, people are going to buy gifts. Not really.
Yeah.
At least in our business, what I've experienced, December's not usually a great month.
Yeah.
So it starts December, January, February. And usually, like even right now, mid-February, all of a sudden it's starting to pick up again. Mostly because, like Carl said, our winter right now is not real winter.
It's
for some
not.
reason.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah, I guess it's called global warming. I don't know, whatever. But
Our
for some
our
reason,
sport, by the way, is very environmental friendly.
oh yeah, totally. But yeah, so it's like we left and then we had like a 70-degree day in New Jersey.
No kidding.
which
I
is
thought that was
not normal.
bullshit, man.
Yeah, it's like
You're like, I'm going to California.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be cold and
Yeah.
damp here. and I'm going to California. It's supposed to be warm there.
And it's like 50, 60 degrees when we got here.
I got out of I got off the plane and I had preemptively taken off my sweatshirt. I'm wearing a t-shirt. I get outside. I'm like, fuck.
It's cool.
Kind of cold.
Yeah. People are, and then you walk around and all the California people are like, wearing winter coats and stuff.
Dude, it is so funny because I mean, as someone has family on, knows what cold is, and you come out here and they're wearing like ski jackets and UGG boots up
The
here.
beanies today we saw.
I know.
With the beanies.
I was waiting in line to go get a coffee this morning, and I'm wearing this exactly as I am. If to those who are listening, I'm wearing my nice floral shirt because I'm in California, or I don't even know if this is floral. But I'm waiting in line, and a lady and her, I guess, I don't know, somebody, she was with somebody. They come up and walk right next to me, and they're wearing a tall ass winter coat.
Yeah.
Have the beanie on, got gloves on.
Gloves.
And I'm like, and I'm over here standing in a t-shirt, and I'm like,
it's a summer day.
I probably look really odd right now.
You probably look like a
because
heroin
everyone
addict.
else is like, what the fuck is going on with him? Like, where are his fucking clothes?
Yeah.
Like, does he know how cold it is right now? And
It's
that's
cool to
wild.
experience that though.
It is.
I mean, I now own 2 pairs of jeans, and
Holy shit.
always shorts.
I only wear jeans, but I'm also a weirdo.
Yeah,
I never
Frankie-
but see, like I'll go back east. It'll be cold, and I'll
yeah.
wear shorts.
Yeah, that's
like
you're that guy.
I'm
Yeah.
not that,
He's
I'm
that guy that's wearing the shorts.
I'm always like
Yeah,
It's
just the shorts.
but it's funny out here.
It's cool though to experience it.
It's
Because we're not out here
completely
often.
different. Like, one thing I did notice, since we're talking about things that we've experienced differently here, is I don't know if you experienced this in actually, you definitely experienced this. You said your family's in Massachusetts. No one honks the horn.
No
Yeah, what's up with
signals or horns. No one. Not even a courtesy tap.
Not
Yeah.
even a not even.
I
a
think a
courtesy
lot of
tap.
people do it just out of straight fear.
that? Oh,
Like
okay.
literally, like like I don't know. On the East Coast, people will exchange some words,
Yeah.
and go on their way, no problem.
Yeah.
You drive, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Here, it doesn't go that way. It's like
What
it's
happens?
on news. It's on the news. Oh
my
it seems
God,
like,
dude.
and that's but everyone. I don't know. I just think people fear that.
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
don't bother using their horn.
Yeah, I heard
So
the
they'll just
horn
blast- they'll
one
just-
time today.
It was me
No,
by accident.
It was I was at the airport and there was only one horn.
It was like,
You go to the Newark airport.
oh
all
my
horns.
god, somebody's crossing the street.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out the road.
But see, there's none of that friendly exchange.
That's
here.
interesting.
They just
Friendly
but you
exchange.
but you notice it. I mean, because people walk in a tunnel here,
Yeah.
and everyone's a movie star.
Yeah. We heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Jimmy Oakes was on our podcast and he was talking about it when his first time in California, and he was like, he's got to vlog everything, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he said that was one of his first trips he did, right?
Yeah,
he came
and he
to
said that it
California.
was more comfortable for him to do that
Yeah,
here
so he
because
felt
everyone's
like-
so used to everybody being a movie star.
He felt like nervous with the camera, and then he went out and he realized like, oh, everyone's like
No one
used to
gives-
this.
Yeah, no one cares. Everyone's trying to movie star. Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when this video that we took some time out of our day earlier to do something
Oh
kind of
God,
silly.
I can't wait to.
I
Yeah.
need to talk about it.
It'll be out
Have you
before
watched
this.
the movie Boys in the Hood? But
Yeah.
the first one.
We're showing him later.
We need to show you this.
Yeah.
because
We saw an alleyway when we
we
get
saw an
breakfast.
alleyway. You
And
know
I
that iconic scene, Ricky, and
Yes.
then he runs away. Me and Frankie see this fucking alleyway, and we're like, I think I might have been like, Ricky, and then Frankie's like, we gotta record a frame by frame remake of
Yeah, I
that
was like,
video right
dude,
there.
I was like, that alleyway is perfect.
And in my head,
So
I personally, the problem that I had with YouTube is like, yeah, you don't really want to be like, hey guys, what's going on, and get record yourself, but we started doing this, and Frankie yells Ricky at the top of his fucking lungs, and
We're just in this
no
random
one
alleyway.
batted an eye.
No.
I was
yeah,
like,
you're right. Actually,
there
now
were
I'm
these
thinking
people
about
across
it.
the street. They're just literally like, oh.
Yeah, we
Okay.
were filming this dumb shit the whole time, and no one was really saying anything. Barely even looked at us.
Because they probably
Seen
see
the shit all the
weirder
time.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is something about LA that's kind of.
Yeah, you
I
can
think
really
there's
express
definitely-
yourself here.
Yeah. There's definitely this aspect that people think they're. I don't know.
I know what you're
can't.
saying.
I've lived.
Everyone's an influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's just different.
That's our ongoing joke for this trip.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're influencers now.
Yeah, literally, when I was coming here, I was telling my friends jokingly, I'm like, I got to go over there and I got to try to pretend to be an influencer and record everything.
I mean, the
and-
thing for me is like I just like doing this podcast shit. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like, even this conversation is
This
fun
is a
right
lot
now.
of fun.
I
like,
like
we're
it
learning
because
shit.
yeah, this is casual. And
Yeah.
and first of all, the camera's nice and propped up on a tripod, and we're not chasing each other around here.
And no one's gonna edit this either.
Nope.
That's the best part. You
We
just
don't
go,
really cut anything out,
Done.
and I
Really?
feel like that's a testament to like how genuine it really is. Like I'm
Yeah.
here, and earlier when we were talking about suspension and shit, I was so in awe because it's shit that I've never heard.
Yeah.
And earlier when you guys were mentioning how the circle goes around of hot rodders, and now you guys are the hot rodders.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I think it's important because that next generation, or even our generation, is listening to this podcast and getting the information just as much as you guys would like to. Because I'm not aging you, hopefully, but just as
I
much
was
as
gonna
you
say
guys
this earlier, we age
you would
everyone
like
on
to
this
talk
podcast.
to those hot. I would love to talk to like a guy who was into classic hot rods.
Yeah.
And ask him, what the hell was it like for you back then?
Yeah.
Like, and what influenced that build? Like,
Well, even like probably what you experience. I don't really know your age, but how old are you? Like
I'm 36.
36. Okay, so
yeah,
younger.
we're kind of.
I'm 32.
Okay.
So you're younger than Jason.
Jason was 40.
Jason's 40. So he got that experience. He got that Fast and Furious experience. Like,
Yeah.
movie comes out and everything.
Yeah.
And he hated it.
And he was mad about it.
I was so pissed.
So you were too.
Yeah. I actually didn't go. I mean, they had like a bunch of guys I knew. They're like, they're having viewings.
I need to hear this now.
Yeah.
I just was so upset. Like, this is gonna ruin the whole thing.
Like what exactly? Like how?
Because it's just like, no.
It gives people like a false.
Yeah, it's like someone. So, I don't know. It would be like someone impersonating you, and saying like this is who this person like.
Yeah.
Someone watching you for like a couple of days,
And then making a
they're
movie
like,
about you.
We're making a documentary about you. This guy's gonna play you.
And
This guy's running the script, and you just gotta leave.
Yeah.
and we watched that, and all of it was filmed right here. Like that first scene where they're racing down the street was filmed in Santa Ana.
30 mile.
Okay.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That
all
30
was
mile straightaway.
Yeah, 100 gear shifting.
Yeah, like, how many gears you got, brother? Like,
I mean, and a lot, like those cars. Some of them were used from people around, but not even in our realm, because those were like the cars we would kind of make fun of mostly, that went into hot import nights at
That's
the
so
LA Convention
funny,
Center.
man.
because I can kind of see why, because you know how many times I'll tell somebody I work in an office and a lot of my coworkers are on the older side. You know how many times I'll tell somebody what I do for fun, drifting.
Yeah.
And then they'll
Oh,
tell
that
me,
matters.
"Oh, like that movie Tokyo
Oh,
Drift."
yeah, always.
And I love that movie because I like making fun of it because it's so quotable. Like why are you saying that? Like, and that's what their impression is of drifting, because that's what's in the media, easily accessible consumer media is that. So I never thought that you guys would.
And
hate
then,
that.
just stepping back and realizing like you got to just laugh at it because it's ridiculous.
Now, yeah, we can all laugh.
So let me explain what I think you're getting at, because I want to know if I'm right. So you said it was like someone impersonating what you guys are doing, but kind of like not really doing it the right way. And you said it was almost like
Or not even.
cars you would laugh at, kind of, right?
Or not even like. It was. Oh, just go ahead. Sorry.
I think I got it. It's like, and they're basically what I'm getting at is the cars in that movie, the style they have and everything. Were you guys building cars like that at all? Or
There was
it
a
completely different?
portion of the community that was building cars like that, but we were typically like we weren't, and those cars that were in those type of scenes would not be cars that were raced.
Okay.
Those
Yeah.
were the cars.
Show
that,
cars, in a way.
I'm blanking on all the guys that would build those type of cars, and those were magazine cars.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
They would flaunt onto hot import nights or any of those venues.
Yeah.
there was lots of no pee and all that stuff.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because it's like when we think back, even me being 32, like when I think back on the cars in that movie and stuff, that's almost the style of drifting cars we like. Not as ricey in certain ways.
You take a couple cues.
Yeah, but you take like, especially like neon underglow people like now. That's like a big thing. The vinyl, you know, like the way the vinyl
definitely.
is.
I think all of it definitely just mixes back in because like guys that were the racing that was happening was happening out here, out in nowhere.
Yeah.
They're drag racing, you know, the imports and all the guys it wasn't happening a lot into like city streets and all that.
Yeah,
And those cars in the movie,
outlandish.
the cars in the movies were very dressed up, and they're like you said, they're basically show cars, high import night cars. So those probably didn't really look like the cars that were really drag racing around here at that time.
They're
Dirty cars, just like you know,
and
just fast as fuck.
Yeah. You're there to
guys
win.
that were, and I mean, I wasn't even into that. I mean, that was like, dude, there's people get shot.
Yeah,
Like shit. Like no, like.
So that aspect of it was almost kind of realistic.
Yeah, but they probably weren't stealing.
no,
DVD
stealing
players.
No, it was
DVDs.
That
usually
was
over
interesting.
bum runs and you know,
Somebody dips off with the money.
Someone jumped, like
Somebody jumped.
some dumb shit.
And
like
something
that.
stupid.
Imagine.
yeah,
Oh God!
All the-
like
you get you know, then you get lined up by the cops and it's just like no, fuck that.
imagine now, like with the development of technology, like a phone and cameras and digital media. Nowadays, you can record a run and you can frame by frame see that guy jumped. But back then, it was just a word. It's that person's word against that person's.
Yeah, and
I
who
saw
it
you
and all
jump.
that shit, yeah.
Like, imagine what kind of conflict can arise.
Man,
when there's
those are
no
the good old days, man.
concrete proof. Like, I can definitely see how it can be dangerous.
Phones ruined everything, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like
it's like here's like so that shop that I used to that was next door to mine. There's this old timer. His nickname was Pop Pop.
Okay.
He was the father-in-law of the owner of the shop. He'd come over, hang out, give everyone shit, but he built the baddest stuff.
Yeah.
Like his stuff is acknowledged by the Roadster show, like the top honors on everything. He's got a machine shop in his house, whatever. He comes over and talking to him about that. Like they used to go down to Irvine and race between the orange groves.
Damn.
There's nothing out there. He goes, oh yeah, when the 405 was being built, we'd race on the 405. We would just drive on the dirt up to the 405, and we just hang out there all night. And we just race
dude, that's
all
some
night.
cool
What,
California
like when a
history.
like while a road is being built and there's nothing.
No,
going-
nothing. They just drive through, cut through someone's farm onto the 405.
See,
and-
someone needs to do a podcast with that dude before it's too late.
I know.
Like,
It was really, and he's been involved with like the running at the salt flats and all that stuff early. He was, you know.
man, that
Imagine
would be
that.
amazing.
Like that's the thing is there was a. That's about as hardcore as you could fucking get.
Yeah, but I mean, California has always had like a big history of drag racing. I feel like ever since the cars were fucking invented.
Like so, Corona. What's interesting is Corona is called the Circle City. It's because the city was used for a race. It's got in the city. You see a perfect circle. That was the race course.
I need to. Look,
Yeah,
I need to look this up.
That's wild,
I
man.
moved to Corona, and it's like it's a thing. And
Yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
like, what? Why are these streets like this? Yeah.
It was like it was like I think it was in the 30s or 40s.
Dude, that was a cool time, man. Even motorcycle racing, like Harley Davidson stuff. If you go to the museum out in Milwaukee, you see like all the old races they would do. It really is.
Dude.
Let me see this shit.
There's literally East-West Grand Boulevard. It's a circle.
Wait.
See the circle right there?
It's a literal.
It goes
circle.
under the freeway. You can literally drive on the original race car.
What the actual?
I live.
This
I-
is fucking
yeah,
crazy,
not
dude.
far from there.
So how many people get arrested on that? Because these kids these days are probably just fucking
No, it's cut up into so many. It's
probably
a million
traffic lights.
Traffic
and shit.
lights.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
I'm just,
man.
I'm just
That's
so
Corona,
California. That's
California.
California.
yeah, like
so
like
cool.
And there's what's crazy is like there's like there's like a fast food restaurant and they have a bunch of posters from all the
That's sick.
events
dude.
and stuff.
How far is that from here?
It's 25 minutes from here.
Okay.
That's-
Monday we're up in the air. We might
Yeah.
have some time to do
that
shit.
that is like such an interesting piece of information that we would have never
I
gotten.
would have
anywhere
never
else.
known that shit. Someone's got to
Anywhere
get
else.
this pop in a fucking room for a podcast, dude. And you might have to be the person that does that shit.
I just think that's crazy because like
He's
that older generation did so many cool things.
yeah.
And like probably things that we've thought of like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be cool? Like you
No,
ever
they
see when a
just-
highway's getting built and it's closed and it's paved, just there's just no lines painted on it or something.
I mean, we used to do that
and
shit.
I'm like,
we used to do this shit by, so MetLife Stadium is right near our shop. And they had part of the turnpike closed off for, I want to say like over 5 years.
wow.
So I used to have a little garage. It was basically a shed. And that's where we'd work on cars. So we would take our cars out sometimes and go. We'd go to MetLife Stadium, and they're also building this stupid fucking mall that no one cares about, the American Dream Mall.
it took a long time.
It's
but
taken
done.
about 15 years, and it's still a failed
And
project.
nobody cares about
Yeah.
it.
No, not really.
Like they just opened it, and it's still failing.
It's empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would go in that lot, and then you would just keep going down, and you make a left, and now you're going the wrong way on the turnpike entrance ramp, but it's closed. So we would just be mangying and shit down that ramp, like down that straight. And now, like the other day, I took it and it was opened. And I'm like, holy shit! I used to drive down this shit backwards. But yeah, it's like finding roads like that is awesome when you can actually find it. And you're like, no one's here.
But the way that you described that, what was it? Pop.
Pop.
Dude,
Yeah.
the way that pop is I'm picturing it is
That's literally
it's
a main highway.
it's a long time ago, so it's not like police officers have these wicked high beam lights that from a mile away they're like, hey,
Yeah.
like
No, they just run away from the cops.
yeah, good,
And they could
bye.
probably make it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
their cars were all souped up. I
Yeah.
mean, the cops were running.
Yeah.
they knew what they were running.
like a little Caprice.
Yeah. And they don't have
This was like the 30s and
Oh, 30s and 40s. Okay, now
the
you're
30 and 40. They probably don't even have a way of like.
50 or no, like probably no, that was in probably the 50s.
Yeah,
50s.
yeah. So by that point, they might have radios to like, yeah, all right, pick him up. He's coming this way or something like that. But still, it's not like it is today.
There's a whole nother like realm of that stuff, and I think also being around that stuff and seeing these guys try hearing stories about it. I think it made me, when I started approaching my own projects, I would just dive in, because that's what these guys did. I mean, these guys took gas tanks off of bombers. These were extra gas
oh,
tanks that they would
Frankie's
drop.
super invested.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they would go to the military surplus store, buy these gas tanks, and then build sell-flat cars in them.
Yeah.
And
That's sick.
they would use he was like, oh yeah, we would take these door actuators, to slow down the doors on the airplane when they'd open up. Well, because we didn't have room for shocks or springs, so we'd use these to do as a suspension. And what the fuck? They would just go to the surplus store and they're like, oh, that's cool. And they just would, with no fear, just go. I mean, I'm sure there's fear, but you just try it.
Yeah.
And
some people died along the way, but it is what it is.
I mean, when I was getting into, and I was looking at magazines, and I would see like Mitsuru, building that legendary blue coupe with the BN Sports with the on 1819s. I saw that. I'm like, I don't know how, but I'm going to build that.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
went, and I went crazy. I went off way into the wrong end. I had my head in, but I was a kid, and I tried it.
But it inspired you.
Yeah.
And you tried it. That's
Yeah.
the thing is I feel like, especially in our sport and our hobbies, you just have to try it. Especially if you have an inkling and you believe something is gonna fucking work, it could fucking fail. It
fails.
most
of the
definitely
time.
will fail.
Most of the time.
And the world and this like that wouldn't you guys' cars, our builds, everything wouldn't be the way that it is without somebody going, I wonder if we tweak the suspension a little bit this way.
Yeah.
It's gonna work.
Yeah.
Like the plain gas tank thing, that's kind of fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense though. Like they are just trying to use things that they had, you
Yeah.
know, because it's not like today where you can basically fucking make anything you want to make. If
Yeah.
you
It
have
is.
money or you know someone, like,
That's the limiting factor, though.
Yeah.
Is how deep is your pocket?
but back then it's like it was probably way easier to just be like, oh, we got a bunch of fucking bombs over here.
Well, and then you had, let's say, during the war, you have all these military and army and educated gentlemen, machinists,
Yeah.
guys that have worked on, and now they're got shops open.
Yeah.
You know, they're repair shops, but guess what? They like to work on things on the side. And then, you know, that's how, like a good, so like you have Moon Eyes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a
Definitely
company.
should have went there. Fuck.
If you guys have time Monday,
Yeah.
definitely go.
Yeah.
That is a company I think that's a lot of people are just, they take it for face value as making kind of cool apparel and goods and stuff.
Yeah.
Where it is actually a machine shop and they still grind cams. And like
Wow.
you go over there to that shop, that's the real deal. Like they'll spin aluminum caps and they do metal working and they build race cars. Like,
How long have they
Straight
been
up.
around?
oh God, for a long time.
Yeah, because I don't know much about them. I just know.
I'm
just
not
know
going
the
to say.
eyes
I'm not
are
going to
the-
say any numbers.
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
So it was originally Dean Moon, and I mean they built a bunch of legendary salt flat
Yeah.
cars and drag cars, and he passed away. I know he passed away. I think somewhere in the mid '90s, because I used to mail order. I used to get shirts and stuff from them.
Okay.
The Ed Roth shirts with the monsters on it and stuff when
yeah.
I was a kid. And he passed. His wife took over the company, and then two Japanese businessmen bought out the company.
Oh,
and then
okay. That's
they've
how that
built
happened.
the company to what it is now.
Okay.
And then like you go to Japan and you see so much Moon Eyes on
Yeah.
just normal, like you see cars just on the street just with Moon accessories and
Yeah.
license plate frames and people wearing Moon stuff. And
That's
it's just
where
like,
I
oh
was
my
confused because I was like, this seems like a Japanese company, but it's not. But
It's-
now it makes sense.
Yeah.
So it is currently.
They really revived the company.
Yeah.
I mean, it was dead. The shop was there, but nothing was happening.
I'm
Yeah.
so out of the loop with that because when I saw, like, I think I was at an amusement park. I was at Six Flags, and saw like a little kid with the Moon Eyes logo on his shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, isn't that like that shop?
Yeah.
And then I walk into Zoomies,
Dude,
or I'm
it's
walking in the mall,
crazy.
and then it's in there. And I'm
Wait,
like,
what?
the fuck?
Yeah, you can go to Zoomies and buy.
It's in there. I was walking by and I
Dude.
saw like the Moon Eyes, the circle, the yellow.
I never knew that.
I have Moon Eyes Vans.
What the
Vans
Yeah.
made Moon Eyes shit.
dude? What Moon Eyes and
Collab.
Zoomies? What?
No,
It's
no.
crazy.
It's facts. And like, I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
Moon Eyes, again, I thought it was a really Japanese company that would make hot rods.
Which
Like,
is
that's what I thought
yeah,
that it was.
at first I
a
was
lot
like,
of lot of
what?
custom stuff.
Yeah, but now
a
it
lot
makes
of-
sense.
A lot of like stuff that's one off.
But what's crazy is so Moon Eyes makes their own. They have their steering wheels.
Mm-hmm.
But what you don't know, and they don't even advertise, is they make the 6-bolt adapters, so you can put them right on. Actually, I just picked up a Moon Eyes wheel for this car,
okay.
and you just have to ask for it. They don't advertise it.
Yeah.
It's just
So it doesn't fit like the normal.
because it's a 3-bolt wheel, the American 3-bolt.
Oh, yeah.
And then
yeah.
you need a 6-bolt for like an
Okay.
RD or
Yeah.
whatever hub.
That's sick.
And
Yeah, we gotta if you're gonna.
You
start-
gotta-
I can't
you
believe
guys
I
gotta
didn't. I
go.
can't believe I didn't even think about that because Moon Eyes is like such a. I feel like that's like a staple.
Yeah, and for
Yeah.
California.
That we
yeah.
had looked
There's so
over.
many things in the state, man.
It
like-
is, dude, and
oh
I'm
my
not gonna
God.
lie. We've been all over this. What is it? L.A. County.
LA County. I feel like
We've been all
been
over
through the
this
whole
bitch,
thing.
man.
Yeah.
And I've just been whipping this 2001 CRV like it's my job today.
Yeah.
It's been great.
I want to.
Yeah.
I want to touch on some of the stuff you make because some of it's
Okay.
pretty impressive.
Yeah. What are we at? Out of curiosity.
We're 2.5 hours in.
Fuck! I didn't
Yeah.
even notice.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't feel that long.
Yeah.
We literally talked about so much stuff that I did not even know.
This was a great one, but I just want to
Fucking
go
A,
over.
dude.
We talked about the wing you made, so my question to you, I guess, would be: are you stocking these things right now, or are you still like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
they're all in stock. The skid plates, the wings.
Okay.
I always try to keep things of inventory of
Okay,
everything
so if
in
someone
stock.
wanted to buy the stuff, they can pretty much
Walk right
just-
in.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And then I also saw the bumper buddy for
Yeah.
the S14.
Yes.
So that's the one that holds the bumper up.
Yeah, it
on
holds the sides.
And that's 3D printed too, right?
Those are 3D printed, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, I could send it out and have it made, but then it's just like
Well, I mean, one less person to rely on is that's
Yeah,
great.
And you
absolutely.
can quality control right then and there.
the printing materials now are so good.
Yeah, if it's,
that-
I mean, dude, it's probably that's not even a thought in my head when I saw that. I was never like, oh, that's gonna be weak. I think it's gonna work perfectly fine.
Yeah. Well, and then next is one for the S13.
Yeah.
I actually have a prototype and I'm not happy with it,
Okay.
and now I'm starting all over.
Okay.
So it's actually that's the third one
Yeah, yeah.
I've done, and I know I could have released either of the two, and it probably would have been okay.
Yeah, especially for these S chassis people. Oh, something to hold my bumper up.
But
I know.
Yeah,
what
that's
exactly
not a
what
zip
I'm thinking
tie. All right, cool. I'll get it.
yeah,
But you
I-
want-
I,
yeah.
like so there was the Auto Collect Storm ones.
Yeah, yeah,
and I hated it how they fit.
yeah. We sold those for a bit too before Roy stopped obviously
Yeah.
doing it.
So I just didn't. I like when a product just
Yeah,
just is done.
there was little things about those ones that I didn't like. Like you couldn't
I don't like how you have to drill right through the meat of the fender.
that too.
So if
And-
you tap on something, it just collapses.
yeah, but also like depending on what bumper you're running, you might run into an issue with fitment. I think it was a fiberglass bumper because the back comes around and like
there's not much
it just
adjustment.
depends.
You'd
Yeah.
have to grind it down. I'm pretty sure I had to grind mine down.
And
a
I
little bit.
remember the first time I put those on, I actually was like, well, fuck this. And I threw them away and I didn't run. I ran my own custom setup. I
Yeah.
actually put on the bash bar.
Yeah.
So I could just sit on the bash bar. But then I went back and I took another look at them and I ended up running them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. You want to build something and you want it to be your standard.
The hardest thing is like you're talking about those variables, and what I'm trying to do is, work down
Yeah.
the middle of it because these cars are now 30 some odd years old.
And plus, you don't want to have to be like, okay, so this is like because when we make something or a kit or sometimes we gotta go and we gotta explain like, okay, so it's not going to work if you have this, or it's
Yeah.
not going to work with it, and it's like you want to try to limit all of the.
Yeah.
But if you have this sort of situation,
You anticipate it.
yeah,
Yeah.
That way, you can have more people buy it, and it's more of a universal product. So I totally get that. But
One thing that I definitely hope that gets translated through this podcast is the fact that since it didn't work to your standard, you're literally starting again. Like,
Yeah.
it's a testament to the quality. So,
yeah,
And then also, in my head is also making parts to replace. Like I'm about to I'm just working through the last parts of it, but that bracket on that mounts on the core support where the fender is.
okay.
You hit the one bolt.
Oh yeah,
on
I know
the-
exactly what you're talking about because
you
we
know.
were thinking about doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Ethan was we were repairing them on
Yeah.
on a car,
I
and,
know.
and he was like, "We should just make this as a weldable thing that people can just buy." And I'm like, "Yes, but it also sucks having to weld it on." But
well, I made one that you can weld, and you can also install it as a bolt-in
awesome,
version.
that would be
So,
good.
I can show you before you leave.
Yeah. I'd like to take a look at everything.
And then it's just finding someone again to work with the quantities.
Yeah.
That's literally what it's boiling down to is so getting it the price right.
Yeah,
And
then
like where
trying
I'm
to
at now with the pricing is I would be paying for what I want to sell them for.
What I always told Roy when he was selling the stuff, these little things that are important, but they're small. I was like, dude, you better start raising these prices up. That was the first thing I told him. I was like, you got to raise. And obviously, we're doing wholesale, so we want to make money on it too. But I was like, dude, people need this stuff, and people don't want to make things anymore.
Yeah.
They just don't want to do it.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Because
yeah.
when you can just buy it.
Why would you want to?
Yeah. We were talking to Jason about this last night about the fender braces, on the bottom when Roy made those.
Yeah.
And we were all like, I remember when those came out, we were looking at them and we were like, who the fuck is gonna buy this when you can go to Home Depot and buy a piece of flat part, and just because that's what we always did.
Yeah.
And then he ran a whole business off of that. So it was like, dude, it's like people just don't want to do things anymore. So if you can offer a product that is going to simplify their build, then that's it.
Yeah.
So get the money you deserve for it is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's
the hard part.
That's the hard
Trying
part.
to price it out,
Price it out.
Yeah.
Because, do you want to code it? No, want to code it.
Exactly, yeah.
Everything. So right there. But I think the thing is what's hard with, especially S chassis, as my heart knows that it's when you make a part, you have to say like, okay, possibly in the lifetime of this part, how many am I going to sell?
Yeah.
We just, you look at the Miata, my skid plate fits from 1990 or even 89 production, 1990 to 2005.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Wait, I think I get what you're getting at here.
Yeah.
The shelf life of an S13.
Yeah. Well, how many are there?
How many are there?
They didn't sell that many to start with.
Yeah.
Then we've been throwing them out.
Yeah. Crashing them left and right.
And then you know.
Yeah.
So.
But at the same time, like
it's my heart's with the car so much. I want to see all these parts. Because like with the American. Sorry, I'm jumping back and forth. But like you have like the Tri-5 Chevy.
Yeah.
And so Tri-5, I'm talking like 55, 56, 57 Chevy Bel Air sedans. They made, ungodly amounts of these cars. Okay. And there's so many of them that this company called Danchuk back in the 90s started making like just emblems and grills. And now the company offers whole bodies and frames
for those cars.
Because
there's just so many.
There's so many. But they've had the money and the backing. We need a lot of parts for these cars.
But we just don't have enough customers really
to make to bona fide the means of like making new quarter panels, new lower rockers, front frame rail fenders.
Yeah, that are OEM, like metal. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, every single day, you get more enthusiasts because of drifting and everything. So that's the good part. But like you're saying, there's a cap on it. Yeah.
But then you get everyone buying the cars and cutting them up to put, even if they have decent, and put over fenders on them. And it's so I talked to a company that does OEM metal out of China. The thing is they need like 30,000 units.
Yeah, of course.
They can make you hoods. They can make front aprons, shock towers, strut towers, hoods, whatever.
But you need crazy quantities.
But is there 30,000 S13s?
Right.
I don't think so.
No.
There's even less S14.
Yeah.
And there's even less S15. But S15, at least you can still get some parts.
Yeah.
For some reason, when we came here, I was like, Frankie, I can't wait to see one random S13 somewhere.
Yeah,
and we really haven't.
It's been months.
I see more in New Jersey lately.
A lot.
It's weird.
I'll drive to work.
Yeah,
it's a 10-minute commute. And
usually
I'll run
the
into
only
a 240.
Usually the only S13 you would see would be in someone's driveway, like in the back corner.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, is that person dead yet? Can I have the car?
That's fucked up.
That was always
unfortunately that's what happens.
What's the market like right in where you guys are?
Very high.
It's probably the same. I feel like it's the same once the internet was involved and Craigslist and
marketplace,
Facebook.
dude.
I feel like everywhere is just the same now. It's
like a stock KA $5,000 running.
Like because my heart's with the coupe.
Yeah. Well, coupes have always been.
These cars could go away as long as if I had a coupe.
Yeah.
Like to me, like coupes, but like every coupe is like $6,000, no title.
Oh, rusted. No, not here. Sorry, no rust here.
There'll be rust or something. No engine, or the engine's out of it, or it's some crackhead, build.
No, we get the same situation by us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just was curious.
No, we got all the cars are molested. They're horrible.
And the thing is like.
And we have rust.
There's going to be
even, like, worse.
There's going to be that time where it's like, again, how much how passionate are you to do this right now?
Yeah, well, you just gotta
You pay to play.
you gotta find a way to price it
But
right.
Yeah.
You can't even, like, what hurts me is you can't even give the parts. Like, when I was trying, like, the last couple of builds I was doing for people, you can't even get the parts to do this right.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's where that
belt
comes
trim
into play.
moldings, belt trim moldings. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
My
Belt
my
trim?
world,
Yeah.
the where the, like,
You could get those now.
Yeah.
But they're what are they, $150 a piece or more?
well, but then they disappear.
Yeah.
And then you go months.
Yeah, it was very weird. I don't think that's happening anymore, though.
Is
I
it?
know what you're talking about
Yeah.
because I was experiencing that. I don't think it's happening anymore.
But
I think they're
are
pretty
they
good.
making more of them?
They're
or are
making
they just,
them, yeah. And I know I was in the same boat where I was like, oh, we're gonna run out of, we're gonna run
Yeah.
out of. There's only 4 left in the country. That's it. And then you'd wait a couple months, and I'd be like, oh, they're relisted again.
Oh,
But nowadays, everything's changed. Everything's changed in Nissan USA, and no longer do you get things through Nismo.
yeah,
You're getting everything's being brought over by Nissan.
yeah.
So it's definitely changed up. I do think they're still producing a lot of these parts.
Maybe the market that is maybe to be taken care of is the parts that will improve the longevity of your 240. Not make it
dashboards.
faster.
Yeah,
Dashboards.
dashboards would be one.
Dashboards. Imagine, dude, if people are
Imagine
if
having
people
a
are
crispy dash. Brand
Yeah.
new.
if people are
That'd be crazy.
3D printing fucking Aero kits
Yeah.
to build molds off of versus doing that foam method, and which I thought was the only way that you could do it. I didn't even know about the 3D printing thing until recently. And just imagine like the possibilities, and the technology of 3D printing can get better.
Yeah.
And it probably will get better.
I mean, the only going back to the pricing and the quantities and how many cars are there, the only way you really get around that is, guess what? Now you guys have S13s. Well, everyone wants these cars, so the prices, everything is going to rise.
Yeah.
And that's really all we can do. Like, obviously, that doesn't help the minimum quantity problem.
Yeah.
But
What's out your way? What's like? Do you guys have smog? No. Oh my god.
yeah, we don't deal with that.
Because like, yeah.
Yeah, we heard.
Yeah, we heard
Well, that's
about
a
you
big
guys.
limiting factor. I know a bunch of guys that is just sitting on cars because they can't smog them, and they're not.
So what? So how does this
So
work?
you just go to the track.
What's
That's it. That's the
what's
only way
that
you can drive
dirty
it.
smog thing that Jason
Hot
was talking
smog.
about?
Yeah. So you pay someone.
It's like paying someone off to make your car
Yeah,
legal.
but it's
Allegedly.
Just, allegedly, you pay
yeah.
someone
yeah.
to kind of run another car, I guess.
Oh yeah, okay. So we do that in terms of
Inspections.
vehicle inspection, because usually they'll plug in OBD2. This is not,
Yeah.
anything about 495 is free game in our state.
Wow.
But
That's a dream.
yeah, but
promise that.
OBD2 is like they'll plug into your car.
Yeah.
So if they
Yeah, yeah.
see anything, then
It's the
no-
same thing here for OBD2, but OBD1, that this car is supposed to run on a dyno with a sniffer.
I heard about that shit.
Yeah, and then you have like pressurized. They need to pressurize the gas tank, and the evap system is supposed to work. Yeah,
I mean, I've seen
and
those
then-
like setups in shops before.
Yeah,
But-
the thing is now that's with this new system, like they have this biometric system, I guess, or they're talking about, so you can't even get a hot smog.
Yeah.
So
Dude, it's just
So what people have? You said people have cars sitting because they can't get smog.
well, there's what they're trying to figure out, like, oh,
Like I
when
can't
did-
drive it. You mean?
Well,
Like,
yeah, you can't register it
Holy shit, dude.
that is really
unless you
saddening.
can unless you have someone that
Can you
get
just throw a cat on it, or like it's not? That's not the situation.
No, but you need the car has to perform like it was when it was new.
Fuck.
I
I
don't even know what to say because both my cars are OBD2, and guess what doesn't have inspection? Both my cars.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing is like
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing with
They
us
don't
inspection.
really-
You can register a vehicle and drive it with no inspection.
yeah,
You're just gonna
like,
get a ticket.
They'll tell you like you'll register a vehicle, and they'll tell you you have 14 days to inspect it. I take that notice, I put it in a glove box, and when I get pulled over, I'm like, oh my god, I must have forgotten to inspect it because they can't initially pull you over for that. Like they can't go and like they're shining the light and they notice you don't have an inspection sticker.
Boy.
I think
and,
they
like,
can pull you over for no
It's not a
inspection.
primary offense.
Are you sure?
Yes.
That
because
explains a lot because I haven't got pulled over for mine in 4 years.
I don't have a stick. Sometimes I'll put my hat in that little corner where the inspection sticker's supposed to be. It's in the bottom left of the windshield or driver's side windshield.
Yeah.
And I'll put a hat on the dashboard or something like that if I'm feeling paranoid, and it'll like kind of like if you were shining a light, you weren't gonna immediately see that.
Yeah, you never know like if it's going to draw attention or take it away. Like people who put their license plates on the dashboard, I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
No,
take that out. You're drawing attention.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
just
you need to
don't
take
run
out.
it.
Just
Yeah, don't run it.
because then like if you pass by, the police officer is gonna maybe assume you're in Pennsylvania. You're from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but it's
And
like
then
big
it
and
will look-
just bright. It's like, dude, that's not.
Yeah.
First of all, you can't have anything up there.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
not
that-
supposed to have anything on
A
your
sharp
windshield.
license plate just getting ready to decapitate you.
I didn't even think about that, but no, yeah, you can. It's kind of. I would say it's loose.
But
and
they're
we are
not.
very
I
fortunate.
mean, like you can get. I mean, you can be ruined by the police out here just for cruising a car.
Yeah.
So we've heard.
Yeah, we don't have that problem.
Yeah.
That's terrifying
It
because
is absolutely like where I had my S14 stored was like over 100 miles away from here, and I wasn't worried as much as the car as much as
The cops.
the cops. Even though the car is insured and it's got all the
Yeah.
stickers and registration, they can just if they have a hair up their butt,
Yeah.
it can just make your life.
So when you
miserable.
drive that car around or something, do you like get worried? Yeah, that
absolutely
sucks.
terrified. I don't drive it that much because of that.
that is insane because
And it
of how
seems like
much
more-
car stuff we just talked about that goes on in California.
It's sad. Honestly, it's sad.
It sucks. It's like the
Yeah.
ultimate cuck.
Yeah. You know what? You know it's funny. It's like it seems like LA has less problems, I guess, because the crime rate.
They're
is
just worried about that.
Yeah.
you get in these areas where it's where things are not people. They're just the cops are bored.
Yeah, yeah,
They got nothing else to do, or God forbid, you have to drive through a neighborhood, and
And then
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
hey, that guy's got definitely no cats. Like, it smells like 93 out here.
Yeah, dude. That's a whole thing we don't have to deal with. Thank God.
Thank God, dude.
I always
but
think
that
about
goes
that with
into my
California.
thought about making parts because if you just can't register the cars, then you're
Yes.
limited to just track use. Whereas a lot of guys,
Yeah, but that is just one state.
yeah,
it is a very
is, but
important state.
It's
but,
crazy, but it is just one spot.
Yeah.
and it's like
but that's your
One-
home state. so
One
that's what you
very
think about.
large spot.
It's an important one for sure. Too.
Gigantic spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my buddy moved up to Washington, and he's like, "You don't have to worry about anything up here.
Yeah.
Just pay it for it, and you're done."
Yeah. It's definitely cool. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, California's always been on that, you know.
I mean,
the carb situation.
yeah, we'll see.
Maybe
what else?
one day the Republicans will win back the state and imagine they just get rid of everything.
I don't even want to
I
know
don't
what
even
will
wanna-
fucking
That would
happen
be
at that point.
crazy, man.
What else you got on there?
What else do I got on here? Okay, this one, which I'm probably going to buy from you before I leave. The power steering line for the S13.
I think I just sold the last one.
Okay, well, we need to talk about it
I'll
because
send you some.
yeah, dude, that line, I don't know how you're doing that, but it's perfect because me and Chris are always trying to. We'll be like, yeah, we got to go to Pep Boys again and try to find
a
something.
hose.
Yeah, that'll work. So
Literally, as we're sitting on my friend's couch that we stayed at last night, Frankie's like, "I need this.
yeah.
I need this," and I'm like,
And you know,
"What?"
occasionally you'll find something that works. Like we found stuff that works for like the heater core for SR swaps. You know, so we grab those part numbers from Dayco and we just make a little kit. We're
Yeah.
like, these will work. So
Yeah.
use that. But yeah, dude, that one, and you offer the OEM clamps and everything.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice. So yeah, definitely.
That was just out of like every car, every S13 I have come into my shop
Yeah.
needs this hose.
And that hose is discontinued.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me just take care of this for everybody. I'm gonna make one.
I just got so tired of, and you can still get the S14 one,
Yeah.
but it's completely different.
Yeah. The whole reservoir is different.
Everything's different.
I love the 13 reservoir compared to the 14.
Me too.
One.
13
the 14
one
one
looks awesome.
a little different.
14 looks a little.
Yeah.
It's like, is this gonna give up?
Yeah, yeah. It's plastic. Basically, it's plastic versus metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was basically it. I just wanted to let everyone know that you have these products because they are helpful products, and
I think they need more attention than they get.
I only
you
saw
haven't
your social media a couple months ago because of Chris. Chris sent me a link to one of your products, and he was like, he beat us to it or something like one of those. So I I was like, oh, okay. I started
But
looking through your
that's the
stuff.
thing too, and I feel like it's not even if you see like something sold by someone else, unless it's like just an OEM
Yeah.
part. There's always another means to
Another
make
way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that.
And I think that's the beauty of business is that
Yeah.
when you have the fruit, you have multiple options for one
Yeah,
item. I
and the
think
customer can decide which
'cause
way he wants to go.
I would do that to myself, and I'm like, they beat me to it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what?
You can't think
Screw
that way
it.
though.
I'll just make it myself.
Yeah.
Make it better, or offer. They'll be sold out. I'll have them.
Yeah.
I'll be sold out. They'll have
Which,
them.
thankfully, like we said earlier, I mean, the community's growing. There's more people drifting. People are buying these cars. People are trying to save these cars more now than they were.
You also have a lot of people that I feel like are just are just into these cars, or they're coming back to these cars, and like I did an S14 for a guy, no intentions of drifting.
Yeah.
He's
Those are the best
he's
customers.
the same age as I. He's the same age as I am. Now he has money
Yeah.
and or has the means to build the car that he wants.
Yeah.
And he can enjoy it just how it is. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of I think that's a growing demographic for sure.
That's
Yeah,
like,
for
that's
sure.
like that midlife crisis of that
Pre-
older
pre-
gentleman that buys
pre-made.
I don't know what the car would be for that person. It would
Corvette.
a vet,
Yeah.
or like something American, like big body.
So-
I don't know a lot about.
So
American
instead, they go to
cars.
their backyard. They go, I've had this for 20 years. I might as well do something with it.
Yep, that's you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
literally gonna be you. That's
Yeah.
you and your black car that you stole from me.
Oh yeah, I have like the only clean black 240 SX car in New Jersey right now, but no one knows about it.
It was immaculate, Kyle.
Yeah.
I didn't know Frankie at this time. The podcast listeners have heard this story so many times, but I had unfortunately wrecked my S13, and like the builds I do, I'm a little more new to the mechanical aspect of it because it was just so recently that I was like had gained the fuck it attitude. I'm just gonna try it. And I didn't total it, but it was T-boned by a new driver, my coupe. And when I was looking for a shell, I found this beautiful shell. It was black.
You just had
it
a
was
panic
an
attack.
SE.
The coupe just died.
It was an SE. It was in the ad. I know it said before the motor was pulled, all the options worked, and I was like, oh hell yeah! And then I was a kid. I didn't have a trailer. I didn't have a truck. I was going to U-Haul. I was going to rent both of those things. And then he texts me, hey man, somebody just picked it up. They came with a truck and trailer ready to go. A couple years later, I meet Frankie, and he has the fucking car.
You bought the car that
Yeah,
he
yeah,
wanted.
yeah.
Oh,
So I was-
I didn't
so I
even
was
know
at-
him. I didn't know him.
I know. I think you knew of me because I knew
of
Chris,
you, but
or-
I
yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
you bought this car.
So
I
I'm
only
sitting
know you.
at work at Nissan, and I'm just on Craigslist, and I'm like, and let me tell you why I would do this. My car has over fenders.
Yeah.
And that's my drift car. That was my only car
Yeah.
that I would. Yeah. So it had over fenders, right? And in my mind, I was like, I just hated them so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want these anymore. So occasionally I'd go and I'd look through for a car, which I really don't do. Since this day, I've never done that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking and I see this car and I'm like, of course it says no rust. Every ad in New Jersey says no rust.
No, this one.
The prerequisite.
There's not one car that doesn't
when
have
you
rust.
go to make the ad, it
Yeah.
has it already in there.
Yeah,
It says
you're
no
like,
rust.
Every car says
automatically
no rust.
populated.
So the only bad thing about this car was he cut a big hole in the engine bay where you would put an
right.
intercooler or something.
Right.
But it was bigger than normal.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that sucks. But I'm looking at it. The engine bay looks
Spotless.
basically like it was repainted KH3, the black.
Right.
I was like, okay, that looks pretty good. And then he's like, yeah, SR. It was an SR. I removed it. I'm selling the shell. It had a bunch of parts. SPL arms in the back, repainted subframes, like everything was just, it looked really, really clean.
Yeah.
Too good to be true. So I text him. I'm like, all right, so send me photos of the rust. He's like, which is how I start every single conversation off with all these people
Yeah.
because I want to see how they're
Give
going
me the worst.
Yeah, because they're either going to lie or they're going to send you photos.
Yeah.
So he goes, there's no rust. And I'm like, okay, here we
This
go.
guy's gonna really.
Yeah, I'm like, here we go.
gotta try
Man,
it
I
out.
gotta find these fucking emails, man, because I
So-
definitely have these emails.
Yeah, so I'm like, send me a photo. Come on, man, send me a photo of the frame rail. Come on. Like, what are you doing? So he goes under, he takes a photo, and it looks brand new. And I was like, here was the problem. The car was basically near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
It was far.
Pennsylvania is the worst state to drive through
It's a trailer.
It's farmland, there's hills, and it's the longest state near us.
Yeah.
And you have to drive through it to get anywhere in the West. So we hate it. So I was like, okay, am I really going to drive out to Pennsylvania right now?
I hate you.
And
so
I'm going to
much.
get there and I'm going to be like, this car's a piece of shit and leave without. I was like, I guess I'm getting this car no matter what at this point because I'm not coming back with nothing.
It was pretty reasonably priced too.
Well, he priced it with all the parts on it. So it wasn't like, back then it was like, $1,000 for a shell or less.
I think it was $2,700.
I think that number's right. In my mind, I have 3,000, but I have a feeling I wouldn't have paid $3,000
No, you
for
didn't
a shell
because I
back then.
remember. Didn't you have him take off the shit?
No, what I did was I texted Ethan and I said, hey, so I might go buy this car right now. It's got SPL this. It's got Z32 rear brakes. It's got this. He's like, I'll buy this. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go buy it. I get there. It was one of those moments where like you get there and you're so excited, but you're like, I need to act like this car sucks because this guy obviously does not know what he has right here. Like that's how it felt.
You just had to play the part.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, dude, it looks okay. Yeah, I'll take it. And he's like, I'm like, what else you have? Like, and he starts showing me his garage. He's got transmissions, everything. I was like, yeah, dude, I'll take that. I'll take this. Like,
Just playing it straight.
dude, I was like, I get back in the car and I leave and I'm like, holy fuck, I finally found like my forever car. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just hit pay dirt.
Yeah. So I get it back,
That's so cool.
throw it on jack stands, take parts off that Ethan wanted. It was there for like a couple weeks and then we're looking at this car. And Ethan's like me, he's very like OCD with everything. And we're looking at this car and we're like, I can't drift this car, dude.
No.
This isn't the car because I would drive my car hard and break it, whatever. I was like, I'm not swapping shells. Like, this isn't it. So I'm going to keep it, but we're just going to build a nice car one day. And this was a long time ago. I really haven't done anything with the car. I've moved it. So I ended up, I redid like the suspension. The suspension is technically done.
And you replaced the apron. You fixed the apron.
Ethan fixed the whole apron on that side. We bought a Sylvia front clip. And we just started taking pieces off of it.
Nice.
We still have the rat support and everything. So he replaced all that. He's our fab guy, so he's like did it all perfect. And then yeah, dude, that's just sitting there one day when I have time, like
Yeah.
it's like, when are you gonna have time to mess with that? But yeah,
I just think it's funny.
that's kind of how we met almost.
It is, and like the funny thing is I remember the ad. I had these wheels which I sold to my best friend Chris that works for Frankie. They were Nisbo LMGT2s. It wasn't really a sought after wheel at that time. Like no one was like digging for these wheels, and I happened to buy them for $500.
They were cheap for a minute.
$500, and what did I see a set sell for 10 grand, 7 grand, 8 grand?
Yeah,
now.
it's insane
and
now.
And it was a
for good
square
spec
set.
ones.
Yeah.
and that coupe that was. Cover your ears. The coupe that was taken away from me was on LMGT2s, and the car in the ad, the picture of it.
Oh,
it was,
my car?
Yeah, it was on LMGT2s.
Oh wow.
But it was a stock body.
Yeah.
Completely stock, no lips, no Aero, no nothing. It was a stock
Yeah.
shark nose front with LMGT2s.
I think I had to bring wheels or something.
And I yeah, because he wasn't selling them with it. And I saw that and I was like, this is meant to be.
Oh my
and
God.
that's why I was like, God damn it.
And so that guy he told me what he had in there. So he had like a 500 horsepower SR20 in there with a fucking a 350Z trans. That was your trans.
That's wild because
Yeah.
back then, like
That
there
was the-
wasn't any crazy adapter kits to do that.
Yeah, that was the only other
only
downside. He
pers-
cut a hole. He extended the hole of the shifter in there. So we also have that piece that we're gonna weld in.
Nice.
But
The only shop that was making that adapter kit really early on was Jim Wolf.
oh, okay.
And
he
what's
probably
actually,
had that.
What's that?
He
yeah,
probably
had it. And what's cool is now they have it, and no, they never advertise it. And I think it's the only way to run a CD on a SRKA is you use an automatic end bell. They cut the whole front of the case. You cut the whole front end bell off of it,
Yeah.
and the bolt, the cover that goes on the inside.
Yeah.
Take that off. They have a cover or that bolts to
Oh,
it,
wow.
and you bolt the automatic end bell on it.
Yeah,
And
so that's
so
super
it keeps
clean.
it really nice and short.
Yeah. But here's the problem with that trans. You could never run that trans.
No, it hangs too low.
Dude, it's so low to
Let
the
me
ground.
tell you, man.
No,
Because I have a CDO9 or.
But
it's
on,
a CD
just
trans.
specifically on an S chassis, dude, that thing
No.
is
On the
like,
IS, it's the only thing that bangs on the ground.
Oh, there you go.
Because it hangs pretty low.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that same concept design is what I'm running in my car, but it's made by Collins. And I actually
Collins seems to be a good one too.
I went through a lot of trial and error with that. That's what gave me the tough skin of like, whatever, because I did the trans 15 times
Yeah.
on the ground.
Yeah.
It was painful. It was painful. Frankie was
His
like, I
stories
would have
about
sold
this-
it.
I would have
sold
been
it.
like, I would have never ran
I
that
would have
shit.
never done it. I would have
Yeah.
thrown it out.
Were
And,
you
like,
still running CDs?
just because like
You know it
personally it was like
All the work you
I
put
have
into it?
like a attachment now. Like I'm like I
You know it
poured,
works.
I was going through so many things in my life at that time, a lot of random hardships that weren't related to the car, and I was able to push through it, and I'm like, man, I can never take that out.
Yeah, at
Isn't
least for
that
now.
crazy?
At least for now. And it was
He put
just,
emotional attachment into this
it was
thing.
terrible experience, and I dragged my buddies through that
Oh,
pain
yeah.
with me. They were under there. The trans is falling down. That's a heavy trans.
Yeah.
The trans is coming down, squishing my buddy's chest, my buddy Daryl's chest in. I'm like, this thing is a piece of shit. Fuck this. But that's what it was.
Yeah.
It's a plate that bolts onto, you unbolt
Like,
that
yeah.
cover, and then you slap this.
mean,
You put a seal on, and you slap it on, and then the auto bell housing of the JZ, the J2 bell housing goes on it. And then that's what appealed to me about it, is that since the bell housing wasn't this gigantic thing, it's a bell housing for the car.
No doubt,
My
no.
idea was that it would just fit. I didn't take into account that a W series trans is actually shaped like a KA1.
Yeah.
It tapers in. A CDO9 is a chubby trans,
Yeah.
to say
It's
the
a big
least.
guy.
And yep, I didn't think a lot of things through, and that changed the way that I build cars now.
I have a Z32 trans in my car, and we did that because basically the similarities between the transmissions.
Yeah.
It was like the gear ratios were the same. This
Yeah.
and that. I was like, all right, cool. So it's gonna feel like, and I did it when we were drifting at Apple Valley. My trans blew. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I'm not going across the country, and my trans is gonna blow again. So what do I have to do? And that was like
So you did a Z32.
yeah, that was like the solution.
That's
So,
what everyone did.
Yeah. And that one we used the MazWorks adapter, which is also kind of cool.
Yeah.
They modify your bell housing, they send it back, you take it
Their
all
stuff's
apart.
amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You seen the new kit that they have for the CD?
No.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like the MazWorks one, and now you got Fish Racing and PMC and XAT make all of them. There's
Yeah.
so many.
Like you said
different
before,
products.
it's like so many different companies make the stuff, but it's up to the consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
gotta
it
figure out
really
which one
is.
you
It
like.
really, really is. And the only reason why I went with Collins was because they had a good package.
Yeah, I remember that.
They attracted me with the package
Well,
deal.
that's, yeah.
Stuff like $80 more or some shit like that. We were ordering it in Frankie's office.
yeah, I remember we ordered it
And-
through Faction.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, no, the standard steel drive shaft is fine.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then Frankie was like, it's literally $90 more to get an aluminum one. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, well, it looks like we're getting an aluminum one. And it was just because it was a good deal. It had
Yeah.
every little thing.
What was the holdup on that? There.
I feel
It
like
wasn't
you
going
ran
into gear.
You ran into so many problems with that.
It wasn't going. I put it up there once, and then the supplied. It uses a T56 slave cylinder.
Yeah.
The supplied slave cylinder immediately when I put it up there
Went.
and I pushed the clutch in, it leaked. And unfortunately, to replace that,
I'm sorry.
Step number one is you drop the trans.
Yep.
So then the next morning, I remember out of pure anger and frustration, I dropped that trans in like an hour and a half and an hour or something like that. And that was my second time doing it. I dropped it, I put it back, still not going into gear. So guess what has to happen again? I dropped the trans again. Now I'm inspecting the clutch. I ordered the clutch through Collins.
I remember these phone calls.
I ended up replacing the clutch with another clutch because I found out it was a 350Z clutch, a standard Z one would fit. So then I get a Z clutch, still not going into gear. Now it's the shifter problem from Collins. So then I start trying to figure that out. And
Yeah.
then once I figured out that the shifter was actually a piece of shit, which I found out other people were running into this problem, and I was pissed because I was like, if I did more research, I would have answered my own questions. And then it turns out the clutch I was using, like it just and then I think it was just like the combination of pressure plate and disc weren't agreeing together, and the
I mean, we ran into those problems with a 1JZ VVTi with a W58 in the Cressida.
yeah.
Like, you had to, use different flywheels with different... And I'm not a Toyota guy, so
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what
I
the fuck's
wasn't
going
at
on.
this point, but then I became one
And
because
then,
I was
yeah,
like,
and
this
then
is all I know
you're
now.
putting Nissan trans on a fucking Toyota
Yeah,
engine.
it's
like,
I always think it's funny because it's Toyota engine, Nissan trans, Chevy throwout bearing. Like, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So is it working now?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It works
okay. I
now.
thought you were still
Every
like,
shift, you're like,
now dude. I think that was a time where I actually did cry because it was it was a statement to myself that like, all right, you fucking got through the shit.
Carl also has a history of going
Getting
through
rid of
cars
shit, yeah.
fast.
Like
And this
getting rid of
one
it.
he's had for
It's only because of the fucking hardship that I got through.
You've had it for what, 2 years?
2 years and some change.
Which is like probably the longest time.
Yeah, the 240s they would come and go because you were able to get them for like $1,000. I would buy another 240.
But
sell
me
that
and
one,
Chris,
do it, get another
told him
240.
like, you gotta keep a car and you gotta make it work because
Well,
obviously we're
now
drifting.
I know,
so it's like,
I know it in and out now. I'm like I can. Now when I do the trans, I'll grab like every tool that I need, get under it, and by the time I get up from there, I literally just have to undo the header bolt and pull the trans off.
because you're used to
I
it
hate
now.
it so much. I tell my
Well, it's
friend
like-
Daryl, I'm like, why are we good at this?
my favorite thing, I haven't done it in a long time, is do like a full dismantle on an S chassis.
Yeah. Like
And how
everything.
fast
Just
it
lay
goes.
it out?
How fast you could, because
Yeah.
you've done it. I've just done it so many times.
Do you ever run into a situation where you're like, I actually didn't know about this piece of this car?
There's always something.
You know, I've had that happen to me a couple
And you
times
guys have had
in the
these
last
for
year.
years. Imagine
Yeah.
that.
The newest one that I came across was to pull a dash, you got to pull a windshield.
What?
Like technically, because
No,
I've definitely
no.
done it before.
I've done it too, but like to do it the right way, without breaking the event, or
yeah.
to do it.
the vent's made out of fucking.
Oh, because you're probably when you
There's
pull
bolts
the vents.
going this way.
Yeah.
And so you have to. So I only came across this revelation because of
Revelation. It's an epiphany.
This
like
is
a
the
big-
revelation
Well, no,
of
I
the
have-
S13.
I have. I don't know if I have it here, but I have a convertible service manual.
Okay.
It's this tall.
Oh God.
It's this tall, but it's super thin. It's like 20 pages.
Interesting.
And so it tells you how to re-Velcro the tweed.
Yeah.
And it tells you how to pull a dash because, these things they're garbage. They're coupes with the roofs cut off. They're
Yeah,
93
yeah.
coupes, rebranded, re-VIN for 94, blah, blah, blah. blah.
Yeah.
It tells you to pull the windshield out, then pull the dashboard out. And I'm like,
So that's the
that
proper
makes
way.
so much sense.
Yeah.
And it shows them pull take the vents out, take the nuts out. And I'm like,
Yeah. But they still don't tell you that in 20 years those vents are going to be made out of dust.
yeah.
You breathe on those the wrong way and they're fucking falling
Isn't
apart.
there's
Yeah.
a guy making them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
God
awesome.
for thank
That's
God
an
for people
example
like him.
there.
Yeah.
Because now you can just break the vents and buy
Dude,
new
we
ones.
would take those out. It would be like an archaeological dig. Like we would take those vents out. We'd be like me and Chris be in the car, like, all right,
I used to.
all right,
You just
and it would pop
vibrate
out.
the dash and hopefully they pop up.
Okay, yeah.
That's
we
what
would. I have a
And
method,
then my
but
hand would go through the.
yeah, that too.
But it was no big
I
deal.
would cry.
It was no big deal.
I
You
have a
just go
method
out
of
on
like
the-
just you go to one side, you pop it up a little, you go to the next, you pop it up a little,
Yeah.
and you just slowly work your way around.
the
But it's so scary because you got to get to that one point where it just goes.
the dealership I used to work at, the license plate, the temporary license plates were this plastic.
Oh,
and
you use the
you would
plastic.
cut it out and
Yeah.
feed it under,
That's
and
good.
you just go, and you just like
Yeah,
pull
wiggle it up. But yeah, dude, Carl, it's like an archaeological dig. We're like, and then once you get it out, if you get it out in one piece, you're just like,
oh my god,
all right, here, and you like turn it, and then Chris will grab it, and he'll like pull
Wouldn't
it out
it?
of the car.
Wouldn't it just be something like,
Dude, we
it's
have a
plastic? So
we-
if it cracked, wouldn't you? I would be
you
like,
can't
all
get
right,
new
well, I'm
ones,
gonna fix it.
so-
Plastic
Just
weld,
can't get-
sand, repaint.
or you just take your fingers,
Yeah,
take out the nuts.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're like, you're gonna replace them.
we have a spot in the shop
Where you keep that
designated
stuff.
for these vents. It's literally on top of the worth box in the corner.
I know exactly where they are.
And there's just 3 of them sitting. I don't know why there's so many of them, but we just have a collection.
You
of them.
gotta keep.
Yeah. And
now it's
now
like,
they're made by someone, but either way, I mean, the OEM
hopefully,
shit is.
hopefully he keeps making them. I know he makes
Yeah.
like the stickers and stuff too.
Oh, is he the same guy that does
Yeah,
it?
it's all
Okay.
that same guy. That is the,
I gotta tell you this one thing. I had to order new ones for my black car, right?
Uh-huh.
Because so my black car. Here's the situation.
Fuck you.
I wanted to make. I'm not a fan of right-hand drive because
Yeah.
I hate driving it around the street. So I was like, I want to make a Type X left-hand drive as close as I can get, like all the little intricacies
Yeah.
of Type X. So I was like, okay, I need the sun sensor for the automatic climate control. I need to put that in one of those vents because that's where it is.
yeah, it's a different vent.
Yeah, so it's in that. Yeah, basically it has a hole in it for that sun sensor. So I had to like take those out and like. So eventually one of them broke. So I was like, oh, I gotta order more. Found them on eBay. I was like, oh, someone actually has these. I ordered it on eBay. I get the package in the mail.
Oh,
They explode.
It's just like
Dust.
It's just you're just wiggling the package around. It's just if it looks like you got a bunch of Legos or something in there. And I was like, all right, so that didn't work. And I remember I texted him a photo and he just sent me my money back. That's some shit. But yeah, and then that guy started making them. But yeah, either way, I ended up doing it. So I got the auto climate control in there. I went as far as the only thing I haven't figured out how to do yet is the wiper stalks because they're newer styled.
Yeah.
But
They
they don't exist for the opposite side of the car.
Wait,
Wouldn't the
what?
Maxima ones?
I'm pretty sure they're not the same, but that was as
They're
close
similar.
as I could get,
Yeah.
I think. I don't think I actually tried it. So they might, because at that point,
Like the late 90.
yeah, if I could find a year, then I'll
before
do
they
it.
transferred to the U.S. made Maxima.
Yeah, I gotta find that out. Because once I get the car back in the shop and we're working on it, that's
Yeah.
gonna be something I'm trying to figure out. Because like you see those stalks and you're like, you start looking at the rest of the interior, you're like,
You sit
no.
down into like a JD, like a 98
Yeah,
180 SX, and you sit down and you go, "Oh my god!"
you'd be surprised by
The font on the cluster's different.
Yeah, the
Everything.
cluster I have, like all the little things that make it
It's
so, much nicer. Yeah,
it's like this is Flintstones, and this is
Yeah, and it's the same car.
Yeah, it's the same car.
So interesting. I even went as far as like the buttons on the, like the hazard.
Oh yeah,
Like I had to swap locations of some
Yeah.
of them because they didn't have
they were
like
other way.
not even the other way around. They had certain buttons. You know our defroster button, how it's like one of the small buttons in the middle.
Yeah.
Their defroster button is a big one on the
Interesting.
side. So I think I had to get the JDM one, and then I had to like change the dude.
The little.
So stupid.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, but it's awesome to us.
Yeah.
But like to other people, they're
So
like you're a
here's the
psycho.
question: you gonna put 180 SX quarter glass?
Yes, definitely.
That's,
I did that on my car already. I'm a psycho, man.
I can't do that
Because
I
it's not
can't-
the right
It's
car.
just not the car.
So
It's-
as of right now, I think we put stickers on it just because I was like, let me just buy the stickers anyway. But I hated that.
I can't.
Yeah.
I could never, as close as I could make it to it just.
Yeah.
It's still a 240 SX.
That's what Ethan. If Ethan listens to this, he's gonna be like, he's right. He's
I know.
right.
I can
I just
already
can't.
kind
I
of
can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't, like my buddy is running the 180 SX Center cover, and I'm like,
I think I have that on my
it's nice,
current
but
car.
it's just a 240.
Yeah.
Just came.
I'm that guy that wishes it was a 180 left-hand drive.
I mean, that's what I'm kind of doing. That's what my goal is now with the IS is like I want a left-hand drive turbo Altezza.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is
I mean,
just-
that's just
Yeah.
my thing.
I
Like,
mean,
I think it's cool,
I would,
but I get
like-
what you're saying.
I'd like to get an S15 and make it left-hand drive.
That would be sick.
Oh, please.
Yeah,
That
would be sick.
That's what I would like, and then put a KA in it.
Okay, all right. Well, on that note,
Is there anything else that you wanted to maybe share with the listeners? Something you wanted to self-plug? Because if you don't plug yourself, I am. Dude, please
Yeah, I
buy
know.
more of Kyle's products. They're absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
and hopefully we can work out a deal after this because I'm trying to sell some of this shit. I was like, dude, I need to sell this stuff, man. That power steering line is amazing.
You've literally been jerking off about this power steering line.
I'm sorry, man. That shit is awesome.
You have been.
All right, so where can they check you out? Like what?
Instagram.
Okay, and you have a website, right?
Yeah, Pro Shop Noble at Yahoo or proshopnoble.com.
Yeah.
And then just Instagram, it's Pro Shop Noble with underscores in between
Yeah.
all the.
And when we post this up, we'll probably post up the links and everything.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like we always do that.
Yeah.
I like hearing from people, so always feel free to hit me up about anything. If you're building cars that are too low,
Yeah.
or just or whatever, or working through a project and you need some help, just hit me up.
Perfect.
I'll be taking in jobs here and there.
Yeah. How can they find out? I guess they email you or
Just
something?
email me, call me,
Yeah.
DMs,
DM, whatever. Is
signal flare.
Yeah, signal flare.
And then you'll see if you want to take the project on and then go from there.
I mean,
But I feel like you got to also put some discretion that not all jobs can get accepted.
Yeah,
you
like-
know? I feel, do you screen them?
yeah, it's for sure.
Good.
Not doing like clutch jobs and
Yeah.
No, don't do a CDIS job. Don't do that.
But yeah, I mean, for sure, just hit me up. I feel like I mean, just don't be shy. Like,
Yeah,
you know, a lot of
You
times
have a
people-
wealth of knowledge, Kyle. Like
Yeah.
a fucking gigantic wealth of knowledge.
know.
And we're talking about the knowledge. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm gonna be messaging you if I have some sort of
Absolutely.
wild endeavor, and I'm gonna be
Doesn't
like, you
even have
know,
to be that
one
wild.
crazy motherfucker who might have the answer for me,
It could be a mild endeavor. Just hit me up.
or like a hello, how's
or
the
just
shop
say,
coming
or
along?
just say hi.
Yeah.
But like I mean, to me, the cars and the people people make it. So
Yeah,
I always like hearing from people and what they're working on. Or
the
I like that
community
message.
is the
You-
reason.
You've been pretty adamant to make sure that that's the message that you like to convey, and that's what I feel like we all do. Like I was telling Frankie, I was like, we haven't really attracted any douchebags or dickheads onto the podcast because I feel like the people we interview and the people we talk to and the connections that we make, it's people who are passionate about what they're doing.
well, you're approaching people, and the people that you've approached while you've been here are definitely like Jason. That's higher echelon.
Even back home, like it's
For sure. I was like, that's you're attracting yourself to some good people.
good energy.
Yeah.
You put it out into the world.
Yeah, we had some other people we wanted to hit up too, but like it's just too short of a time frame. I mean, the fact that we could even do this with you and Jason was amazing because it was so last minute.
I literally said this to Frankie yesterday. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
I can't believe, because this was my idea last July. I said, Frankie, let's go do a podcast. Would I think that we would be in California a few months later doing podcasts with you and Jason and being able to see your facility? Because this is a facility now.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
that is, I'm forever grateful to have this opportunity.
You're always welcome.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Yeah.
If we ever come back to California for sure.
I'm
mean,
gonna build a
why
low
not?
car.
We
Well,
gotta check.
actually,
We gotta check back in and see what you're doing in a
Yeah,
year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be checking in. I'm gonna be like, Kyle,
Well, I'm
eyes
sure
on the prize.
we'll be in touch.
Yeah,
more.
for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Like bounce
It's,
questions off each other, you know.
yeah.
Like that's how I feel like helps the community grow. Is
that's.
that it's not a competition anymore. Like right now, it's like
Well-
let's help each other type of deal.
I think there's a healthy aspect of
Competition.
Yeah.
but I think there's also there needs to be a certain amount of cohesiveness
Yeah,
that makes
yeah.
it work, and I think that's I think a lot of people make it too competitive,
Yeah.
and
Well-
it tends to take the fun out of it.
It's
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to get rid of in the business aspect. Sometimes it's hard to get rid of that mentality, like we were talking about earlier. Like, oh, he did it. Like,
Yeah,
fuck
it's
that
hard.
guy. Like, I that was my idea. Like, fuck. And then you're just all so negative about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you said, it's like, yeah, well, someone else did it, so do it better.
Yeah.
You know. Do it in a different way.
There's but like the thing was weird. So I debuted the spoiler, and
Yeah.
yes, it sits like a D-Max.
Yeah. Or Origin, like. Yeah.
So it's like
There's only one way to really sit it on the back of
right.
that thing. Yeah.
To me, like other than developing a new way for a spoiler to sit on the car, it's going to share some aspects to another spoiler.
Yeah.
I was surprised how much people were just not into the idea of something new.
And they like vocally let you know about
Vocally
this?
let me know.
Interesting.
Like,
It doesn't. We're not making you buy it.
no one has to buy it. I'm like, this. I want to make a spoiler that fit.
And how much of a fucking bummer is that?
It really does.
Right?
It really did bum me out
And-
for like a day or so because a
Yeah.
guy literally went out of his way to message me and to tell me how this was a poor copy of a D-Max.
Like what? First of all,
Wait,
it's not a copy of a D-Max.
D-Max, that's some
I mean,
fucking.
He's missing one key
But-
feature, the body line you put on the top of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
and
like
then-
that. If anyways.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we won't
but
harp on it.
That does happen, and it just was like it got under my skin for whatever reason.
Well, you
know,
gotta like break it down. You gotta be like, okay, so this guy's messaging me right now about a product that he's not
not
gonna
buying.
buy,
Yeah,
and he's taking time out of his day. You gotta be like, how
See,
shitty is this guy's life?
I know, but it's like you tell that to yourself, but then you're like, what?
Nah, that's it. It
Yeah.
stops right there for me. I'm like,
Frankie's good at that
Yeah,
stuff.
see,
I
I'm
am
not
pretty-
that-
I am
I'm-
pretty
I'm-
good at
I've
that.
I've gotten better, but when someone,
yeah, no, I
mean,
get what
like,
you're saying.
I like because I'll build my car however I want,
yeah,
but it's just like, I guess it's just like the I can't even wrap my head around someone
because you would never do that.
I would never.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Like-
that's the problem. You're a normal person, and that person
I don't know.
is,
about
and
that.
I
that
don't
person's
know,
a
after,
demon.
After seeing this stuff and hearing how he operates, I don't know if he's.
Nah, dude, he's a good guy. Like and
Yeah,
the people
no.
on the internet, man, they're not,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So
Yeah,
like even when
Frankie's
we
good
post
at
some
that.
things, like if people are going off and like we've posted reels before, and people will go off in the even the Jimmy Oaks thing we put up, people are fighting in the comments.
Really?
Yeah, and we let it go because Instagram likes people fighting. So if
Really?
people are fighting, we'll get more views.
They really
kidding.
Now
do,
we don't
though.
entertain it. We don't like go in there and like,
Right.
intervene. But I'm just like, I'm not gonna touch that. Let them figure it out on their own. And they'll be arguing about the dumbest shit, dude. And you're just like, these people are at home on their phones fighting with people they don't know about someone they don't know about.
Their car that they built.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I feel bad for these fucking people sometimes. I'm like,
that is sad.
you know what I mean? So that's what I always, if I get to that point in thinking about it, usually my thought process is, oh, that guy's a dick. And I just keep going.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing you can do in this
It's
shit,
just
man.
weird. Like of all the things, like a lot. It takes a lot normally to get under my skin about
Yeah.
something, but that just I don't know why that was.
You know what it also could be? He could have been trying to make something.
Maybe he made something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it was just weird that resonated. But then it's like the thing, and then like I don't know. People go out of their way to
Yeah.
say a lot of really
Yeah.
lame stuff.
We've been lucky, man. I don't know how we've been
I
lucky.
was telling
but we've been
Frank
pretty
again.
lucky.
I was telling Frankie earlier. I was like, because we were talking about people talk shit on each other, and I was like, wonder when that day is gonna come for us. Like,
Yeah, I mean-
why is that kid so fucking annoying?
Now, don't get me wrong. People have said shit before.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty fucking good at like walking around it or trying to figure something out. Like I remember someone complained about, we were like, oh, we sell Koguchi power hoods now. And
Yeah.
we'll ship them direct from Japan.
Yeah.
And someone's like complaining about the price or something.
Yeah.
But then not offering
An alternative.
an alternative.
Right.
And I actually entertained the troll for once.
Oh.
And I said I didn't get mad or anything. I
Right,
just
right.
stated facts. And then he kept going, and I was like, okay, now it's time to stop because he's not making sense, and I'm
It's
not
like-
here to make him look like an idiot. I'm trying to sell something. He's not happy with how I'm trying to sell it. That's on him. That's his problem.
It's fine.
That's not
That's
my
his
problem.
prerogative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta pick
What are you gonna
and
do?
choose your battles. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it happens, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of the community, which sucks. But hopefully, like more people doing shit like this, podcasts, and
Yeah.
people can hear long form conversations where, now maybe that guy will hear this shit and he'll be
Yeah.
like, "Wow, dude, I'm kind of a dick." Like we could.
I don't care.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like it could happen.
I think it's just it's a definitely an interesting, when you release stuff into that that realm,
yeah.
like because you surround yourself with professionals and like-minded people, and sometimes you put stuff out there and you forget that there's like some people that are just like
creatures.
Yeah, there's just not.
Yeah, they're coming out from the underground.
Yeah,
And they're just there to fuck your day up.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, that is what it is. But like I said, I mean,
Well,
you have to come out with the confidence. I mean, we were talking about YouTube
Yeah.
earlier, dude. I had to give up like the whole like, I'm not comfortable with my appearance, or I don't.
But people
people are
loved
gonna
it.
say this and that, and it's like you have to give that up when you do YouTube because
I admire so much
You know.
people that put themselves out on YouTube and.
I don't read shit. I'm like Malcolm posted. I don't check his videos. I'm like he probably makes me look like an idiot. Like
No,
I'm just
he's
like
all right.
yeah, he does me right. I know
There's,
that, but I'm saying like I have to put my trust in him.
It's like, I'm going to use Frankie as an example because I feel like since I guess you don't really have a crazy like YouTube presence, right? I think that people will appreciate. Actually, no, people appreciate more nowadays when they can see more about there's more to that person.
Yes.
There
Yeah.
is a person there behind
Yeah.
it. This isn't
That's
like a
100%
factory.
true.
Interesting.
Like
Because-
when Malcolm started posting Frankie, everyone was like, "We love Frankie." I
know.
didn't know this guy can talk.
Yeah, and everyone would always tell me that. They're like, oh, you have to be a face. And I was never a face. I was just like running the Instagram, posting
right.
ads and stuff. And I was like, I don't like doing that shit. I don't like vlogs. I barely like talking on camera.
just like to work.
Now it's pretty normal. So
Yeah.
now we're pretty good at it. But because I'm just myself now. I'm just like,
Yeah.
he starts filming me and I'm just going to talk how I talk. And if someone has a problem with it, they don't
Yeah.
have to watch it.
Right.
That's the only way you can do it. So, and I started watching other YouTubers,
Yeah.
specifically motorcycle, because I'm into motorcycles too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I would go to another realm and watch how they did it.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, I relate to this dude. Like he's just out here
Yeah.
free balling, just like saying whatever. And people resonated with it. They liked what he was
Yeah.
doing. I was like, all right, I can do that. Fuck it. So but like he's saying, having a face to a company definitely helps. And
Yeah.
it did
What's-
help us.
What's interesting is when I decided that I was going to really pursue like Instagram,
Yeah.
is around here, or what I noticed on Instagram was people, they were putting too much of their personal into their business.
Okay.
Posting about what they're eating and what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. That's,
And
that's
you switched
that
it
type
up.
of stuff, or like where they're at, or all this stuff. So I went to an extreme, and I just cut myself out.
You went to the extreme opposite of what we're talking about.
Right.
Okay.
So it's like I've been trying to reel myself into.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to go to that extreme.
That's where I was at, and
Yeah.
I think at the beginning it worked really well because as I watched other people bury themselves
Yeah.
into stupidity, or doing stupid stuff or getting into fights with
Fights and
people,
stuff, yeah.
I chucked along. I kept my posts
Yeah.
clean and simple, and
Well, I will say, like, the products you're selling, the Japanese trinkets and stuff,
Yeah.
those will go very far on Instagram too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's been working as well.
that's the only thing that's been pulling.
Yeah.
Is that so? Now I need to. I think, I'm adding a face, like you said.
Yeah,
to
you got to
the-
find that
find
part
that
of it
medium,
and find
and-
what you're comfortable with, and then.
And
go
I
from
want to be involved with the people in the community because I've isolated myself so much.
Yeah.
In just focusing on the business.
Well, this is
that
a good first step.
Yeah.
This is.
This is it.
This
This
is
is-
Yeah.
for me. It is.
I was gonna say have you done anything like this before?
Never.
And to
Or
me,
I did a podcast with someone, but I don't think they ever.
Oh my
they
God,
never made
I
it.
would hate that.
I was waiting for it. I don't
Yeah.
think it came out.
For me, that means a lot to me personally because there are times where I'm a people person and there are some times where I do appreciate to be by myself. But for you to open up and be able to give us this opportunity to pick your brain and shoot the shit for a few hours,
Yeah, man.
appreciate
that
it.
alone takes a lot of confidence. there is a camera right there.
Yeah.
I know, I tried not to look at
You
it.
Dude, I
technically
fucking
did
hate being on
YouTube.
camera too, man.
You technically did YouTube. That's a
Yeah.
humongous step, and I want to thank
I
you.
hate filming people for YouTube. Like when we were doing the shit before, I was like, I fucking hate doing this shit
Yeah.
because I know, I know how.
But
how
I
annoying it is.
do want to say that it means a lot to me that
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad we're here. I'm glad
Taking
we can-
your time to come out this way. I know your time is valuable here, so it means a lot to me.
man, You have no idea what this means to us.
Yeah, no, it's equally as valuable to us. We're happy to help. I mean, I can't believe we can say that now, but people listen to this shit, so I hope we're helping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this is purely a passion thing right now. We don't make any money on these.
Yeah.
Like
So-
we do this for ourselves.
And like I like going to different shops. Like what we did in California.
This is unparalleled.
This is kind of what we wanted to do with this the whole time because it's like
Yeah.
we want to help you guys, but we're also helping ourselves because now everyone that wants to hear about you is going to listen to our podcast. So now we get your followers and you
Yeah.
get some of ours. So it's like we try to do it
collaborate.
that way. Collaborate.
We're here for the growth of the community, not a
Yeah.
downfall of it. Then thank you so much.
That's a good way to close
thank
this
you.
out.
Yeah. Thank you so much
much.
for joining us. If you made it this far, definitely drop a rating on Spotify, or if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like button or subscribe or both. And good night.
Pro Shop Noble.
Pro Shop Noble. Check them out on Instagram. Pro Shop Noble. All the words separated by underscores.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
No problem. Bye.